Hi everyone, my name is David from INN. With me are
Jake, acapella.
Bradley.
and
Eric Nakara Olsen, I guess. Apparently, we're
Why
going
not?
with bizarre name.
Are
Anyway,
we
wrestlers?
I'm Nakara.
Yes, we're wrestlers tonight.
Okay.
I'm going to tell you a little bit about what's gonna go on here. This is a little bit of a special podcast that's going on. It is the night after CitizenCon. We've had a full day of not
Reflection.
rest, but reflection. We've rewatched the entire CitizenCon presentation.
We've meditated for a sunrise
We've
and a
broken
sunset.
it down, discussed it, debated, thrown things.
There were
Things were thrown.
Things were thrown.
People died.
Oh, it was a bloodbath.
Yeah.
The reason we're on this couch is because the other couch, you don't want to.
That's why Dolvek's not here. He's dead.
Dead. We killed him.
He's dead.
So dead. Cheers to that.
Dolvek.
So basically, what we're gonna do is there's a few
I
points.
almost spit it all out.
Oh God.
All right.
There's a few points. There's a few really important points that we want to go through. We've spent a bit of the day looking at looking at what people on Reddit are saying, looking at what people on Twitter are saying, and gauging the community feedback on the CitizenCon presentation. We have in front of us the slides.
Let me tell you
From-
what. People are not happy.
We're going to talk about that.
No. People were angry, and then they were like, it was
That
pretty
was
good
pretty
anyway.
good, yeah.
We're okay.
We're going to go through each of the slides and kind of break them down. And this is, I think, the point of this is that, I mean, lots of people have been complaining and lots of people have been lauding praise, and it's been, pretty even. But this is one of the least content-rich CitizenCons we've had.
And-
At the same time, this is one of the most information-dense CitizenCons we've had, and we're gonna go through and kind of explain that.
And not only
and try and
that,
explain why that's not a contradiction.
and not only that, but we are going to provide some additional context that speaking with the developers, both in interviews that you will see, and just off the cuff, whatever things that we've heard them talk about that kind of provide some extra context to all the madness and help explain some things, I think.
So I think I'm not sure if I want to start with this or end with it.
No, we gotta end.
We gotta end with
end
that.
with that.
We're
Yeah,
gonna end
that's
with
nice.
this. Yeah, that's. You'll see when we get to the end, but we've got something nice to end on.
And I know people are gonna disagree, but whatever.
Hey, that's what we're here for.
Hey.
So we are going to start with this first slide from the presentation. Now we're skipping most of the talk of the spectrum.
Let's talk about the spectrum.
We're
for a
skipping the
second.
slides, but the spectrum itself, everything we were shown and what's coming up from the spectrum, the upcoming, essentially Orgs 2.0, what we're getting instead of Orgs 2.0 is fantastic. So first,
Make it bigger.
what do you think of Spectrum, Nakara?
Spectrum looks fantastic. Obviously, INN uses Discord as our communications tool. Spectrum very much has integrated a lot of the features of Discord.
Even looks like Discord.
Looks like Discord quite a bit. But also built on top of what Discord offers, there's some things that Spectrum offers that Discord doesn't. One of the things that was notable is Discord's currently working on search, and whereas Spectrum already has it.
Yes.
Yeah, crazy.
And
Super handy.
one of the things where it lacks is it looks like the last features to be added for Spectrum will be mobile and voice, which are already in Discord.
Yeah.
So in some places it's better, some places it's worse. Similar platforms. Really, really great tool coming to Star Citizen. It will be built into the launcher. Thumbs up.
I think one of the biggest. I've seen some people talk about this, but one of the features I really did wish that was put into the game, and maybe we'll get this once things like hangars will be upgraded. But one of the things that was touted with Orgs 2.0 was like a fleet view.
Yeah.
And that's just a cool thing, and I know that it's probably going to come once we have like organization hangars. It's probably going to be a feature set that goes all the way past that, but that was missing. However, Spectrum is literally TeamSpeak, Discord, Facebook, Reddit, Skype,
Forums. Yeah.
Actually, really cool forums too.
really,
Yeah.
Sort of took the whole idea of forums and kept it the same, and then just like went, and it can do this and this.
And it can do Q&A. Like
Yeah.
a Q&A
That's
thread
cool.
on forum. That's amazing. Or a live forum thread, which doesn't really happen. Everything sounds like it's live.
live things
A
like
plus.
that don't really exist
Turbulent
at all.
Probably
just before we recorded this or started recording this podcast, Turbulent won another award for
Fifth one
the
a
Star
million
Map.
awards.
the Star Map, and I fully expect them to start winning some awards when
Oh, yeah.
Spectrum comes
Absolutely, Spectrum's going
out.
to win
Spectrum
awards.
is going to be a game changer.
The
in my
men
opinion.
are wizards.
Yes.
The other thing I wanted to mention is probably the best feature of the whole damn thing is probably also the hardest one to implement is going to be spatialized voice in the game
Yes.
coming from outside the game.
Yep.
The game will actually process the audio that comes into the game from voice
Absurd.
and actually make
Amazing.
it so it sounds like the spot that you're in the game.
Yeah.
It's that is mind blowing.
Literally anything we could have wanted for voice.
Yeah.
It's also something they've said for a long time. Chris has said he's wanted this forever, and he's always wanted to find a way to persuade people to use the in-game voice because he wants the ability for other people to hack into your voice to steal your data and stuff. And I really think that they found the way to get people to use in-game voice, which is make it not just in-game voice, but make it in-game voice, forums, chat,
Discord.
out-of-game voice, in-game and out-of-game, everything. It's everything all in one. Cannot wait for Spectrum.
Absolutely.
The presentation of it was to be desired, but I mean,
It's still a bit,
like we're gonna say later, they had some time to fill.
Yes.
So
Can I take a moment here and say Benoit is one of my favorite people?
Yes.
Agreed.
Totally humble, totally understated, hates being in front of the camera, but I always enjoy
and
watching
does
him.
it because it's part of his job.
Yep.
And we
And it's great to see
love
him up
him
there.
for it.
Oh yeah.
All right, let's move on. We got a
we
lot.
got a lot to cover. So we are
Yeah.
actually going to move on to the first of these slides from CitizenCon. Now, if you want to view any of these slides for yourself, I actually did some research beforehand. They're not anywhere up on Reddit, which I found kind of weird, but they are up on, strangely enough, the Imperial News
INN.
Network, INN.
If you are on our website watching this, there's
Linkage.
a link. Well, wherever you're watching this, there's going to be a link in the notes, description, whatever you call it. It'll take you straight there, so you can follow along.
Yeah.
With us, read along.
Before we
time.
get started, thank you so much to Shiver and Nix who did the
they're
full
amazing.
live blog. Are amazing. They're the ones who got these the
And-
captures of the screens. They did it all live.
And frankly, I want to thank them for covering
Everything they've done.
They covered INN the whole time we were at this event. They did a fantastic job.
Yeah. Shout out
to our boys.
Yeah, basically. So we're going to get started here. The first slide here is Squadron 42. Now it says that Squadron 42 has grown exponentially in ambition and scope since it was first pitched in 2012.
Remember, everyone, the initial Kickstarter
Was
was for this.
this and only this.
Yeah.
And this way, way smaller. So first bullet point, 28 chapters, equivalent to 60 plus missions.
Used to be 20. Now it is 28.
Yeah, so this used to be 20 chapters and 50 missions.
Yep.
It's now 20. And that was recent. That was the most recent update that we
Yep.
had. Was 20 chapters and 50 missions. It's
That
now
was
28
that was
and
like in
60
the
plus.
spring, wasn't
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's grown again.
Yeah.
It just doesn't stop. Well, I guess it
Madness.
stopped. I think it's finally done.
I think we're
growing
stopped.
now.
And we'll tell you why in a moment.
Yes. Second bullet point: A-list cast to match any movie,
great
basically.
movie.
Now,
Yeah.
one of the points here that Chris made and I
Yes.
thought was very interesting was that there are people that are in this that are A-list, like on the level of all them other peeps, that we have
don't
no
know about.
idea are in this game. That's all right.
I know some people who are actually a little upset we didn't get a full cast list this CitizenCon.
That's probably
I would
why.
like to see it soon, probably in the next couple months.
I actually think we shouldn't see a full cast list. I think that there's some people, like, let's say Nathan Fillion shows up at some point
want it to be
in
a
game.
surprise?
I want that to be a surprise.
Now,
I want that
see-
to be like Nathan Fillion flies in on a bloody Firefly and saves the day.
You guys remember? Did you guys
Sorry,
see?
freelancer. But you know what
No,
I'm
you
saying?
didn't mean that.
Carrick.
That's a discussion for another day.
All right. No, we've had that discussion.
It's a discussion for every day.
No, but have you guys seen Interstellar?
Yes.
Nobody knew Matt Damon was in that movie.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
No, that was
Just
great.
all of a sudden, oh, Matt Damon's here.
I actually had that
Okay.
reaction because
Yeah.
I didn't know he was in the movie. I was like, is that?
That's
Yeah.
Matt
Is that-
Damon.
That's Matt.
And there's a number of movies that have used that. There's a number of things. It's really
It's cool.
exciting.
And
It's
then,
cool.
And then he rapidly became a meme for getting stuck on planets.
Oh,
Yes.
Yeah. So, next bullet point. 340 speaking roles with state-of-the-art facial scanning and mocap. 340.
That's a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a lot of different actors. 340 actors, folks.
Not necessarily 340 actors, but 340 parts. Some of the actors will do multiple parts, but
Maybe.
like,
I mean, we
We
got
actually
people
don't know that, but
like
maybe.
think about Mr. Trendane.
yeah.
He could do some voices.
Yeah.
Well, even like
Rockies. Sorry, I gotta pimp up Buckets.
Bulkheads.
Gotta pimp up.
Only on INN, not actually, but
Almost only.
our logo's in
There
there
are only a few
somewhere.
other places.
So
Only a half dozen or so.
no, like in the Star Wars television series, Mr. James Arnold Taylor voices all of them clones and several other characters, and you would have no idea.
Yep.
So yeah,
Yeah,
probably
fair enough.
probably not
Didn't-
probably not 340
Didn't one guy
people.
do most of the Looney Tunes?
Yeah.
Yeah. Same thing.
One who
It-
does most of the symptoms.
Mel Blanc.
Simpsons too.
Yeah.
So.
It's still exciting that there's that many
Yeah.
Speaking roles, absolutely.
parts.
Yep.
And some of them will be extremely minor. Some of you pass in a hallway
Hello.
speaking, but
I realize.
still impressive.
Hey, this fan's on. I'm gonna turn it off.
Sure.
Can you hear it? Well, now you can. I bet. There we go.
Professional here, folks.
Woo!
Welcome
We
to
planned.
INN, boys.
So,
Alright.
next bullet point, over 20 hours of performance capture. Now,
This
we were
ain't-
discussing this beforehand.
Not including motion capture.
Motion capture and performance capture are different things. So motion capture is, the you holding a gun and running, or you kneeling behind some cover, or drinking a drink, la la la, motion capture. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about performance capture. Now, performance capture is the full facial rig capturing every single lip movement of the face.
That's gonna sound weird.
All
coming at two
of
microphones.
them.
Yep. So, next point.
Well,
That's a lot.
here's the thing to make sure that people understand. It's not saying that over 20 hours of performance capture was recorded for this game.
Yeah.
No.
It's way more than that.
This game features over 20 hours of performance capture.
That's just people talking,
This is people. No, well,
more or less.
there's fight scenes and things
Ah,
like
yeah.
that.
But like 20 hours of talking, and yeah, some of them,
Like
would-
set pieces,
lots
yeah.
of them would be done at the same time. But if you think about most games, it's most single player games are maybe like a 20-hour game overall, not counting like
Or
something
not
like
even a lot of them.
not even a lot of them. Yeah, a fraction of that is actually acted. Most of this is the gameplay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Let's be really conservative and say that there's 10 hours and combine everything and say that there's like 10 hours of performance capture. This is going to be a long game.
Long game.
Yep.
I'm okay with this.
Oh, so am I. And adding on to this idea that Squadron 42 is going to be a long, bloody game is the next point, which says a story arc with 1,255 pages of dialogue.
That's a lot of dialogue. In film, page is about equivalent to a minute of on-screen time.
By the way, I want to point out that if you divide 1,255 minutes by 60, that's 20 hours.
20 hours of dialogue.
Strange there. INN, crunching the numbers, even when they're obvious.
Yep.
Exactly.
No laughing back there.
We got Sunyama. Say hi, Sunyama.
So, next bullet point, 40 distinct ships from fighters to dreadnoughts. Note the distinct.
This means no variants.
No variants.
This is 40 different base ships. This is a lot of ships. So you're probably going to see some Xi'an. Definitely going to see a very large fleet of Vanduul.
There are going to be a
Couple
lot of
Tavera.
Vanduul ships that we've never seen.
A couple Taverns. Maybe.
Probably, yeah.
Maybe Tavern
a
ships
Banu.
too, yeah.
Here and there.
Honestly,
Maybe Banu.
honestly,
Maybe
there's
Banu.
probably going to be some human ships that we've never seen before, too. It's going to be good.
Yep.
Next bullet
We've
point.
never seen the F8 Lightning, so
It's
Not
true.
the game.
Handcrafted environments enhanced with procedural technology. We kind of saw how they do that during the CitizenCon presentation.
and we will get to that in just
We'll
eventually.
talk about that later.
One thing I like about this though is this is something that changed about Squadron 42.
Yes.
So September last year they went, hey, we can do procedural planets. And then I think at some point between September last year and today, they went, we should probably use those for Squadron, eh?
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
And then they did.
see, here's the thing. Here's the thing, and we'll get to this when we finish this slide a little bit, but having those things and all of this stuff is what's going to set Squadron 42 apart from any other single player game that's out there,
Mhm.
and it just doesn't exist in anything else.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's sort of what Star Citizen is all about.
Yeah.
It's
Doing it
about
first.
doing things that haven't been done.
It's
That's the whole
about
idea.
seeing something that hasn't been done and not saying, oh, it hasn't been done. We can't do it either. It's saying, oh, it hasn't been done. We
Just
better
do
be the
it."
first.
Yeah.
Do it.
Oh my God, Chris Roberts,
Oh, he's gonna be a meme.
you giant meme, you.
Next bullet point.
One
Systemic
of my favorite bullet points.
systemic space and FPS gameplay from stealth to brute force.
Chris went on to clarify that many, many times you will be given the choice of whether or not you want to do stealth or brute force. We've gone full Deus Ex, boys. Let's do it.
Not only that, but this is gonna. I expect this choice to be basically invisible. It's just how you do the mission.
Yeah.
However you want to do it, as long as you get it done, doesn't matter.
Yep.
Next bullet point, which is
Also, a very nice
Yeah.
bullet point.
Oh yeah.
dogfighting in both space and planetary atmosphere. Now,
This is one of those things that probably wasn't going to be done
and now it is, and it's great.
because we didn't have
Planetary
planets.
atmospheres, and now we do.
Yeah.
Yeah. The dogfighting in planetary atmosphere is new. So now I want to focus your imaginations here. We're not just talking about upper atmosphere here. You're going to be chasing guys down into canyons, flying through probably under like rock outcroppings.
You know that sweet
This is
shot
gonna be some
in
seriously amazing.
You know that sweet shot in episode
Dogfighting.
7 when the X-wings just come down right on the water.
Yes.
That's nice.
Yeah,
That's nice. You're gonna be doing some of that.
it's gonna be nice.
Chasing some Vanduul right into the
Except
ocean.
you are gonna be
Or
Poe Dameron.
pits of something.
You are Poe Dameron. You.
You're not that handsome.
That's why I said you.
Oh, you.
Yeah,
you are
you.
that handsome.
Yeah.
Hey. Moving on to Subsumption AI. Fully systemic, 24-hour schedules, 1,000+ subroutines, simultaneous secondary objectives.
Whoa.
Actually, I think it took me a second to wrap my head around this, but I think the last point of that is the most important.
Yeah.
This means that an AI can have different objectives at the same time. Basically, all games, if an AI is doing something, that's what they're doing.
I am
in
going
this-
to the store right now.
Yes,
I am now fighting a dragon. I am now dead.
exactly. In this,
In that order.
at least what it means to me, simultaneous
quite the day.
simultaneous secondary objectives means
know it.
very much like people. I'm trying to do this, but I also need to do that, and I have to decide between them. And probably we'll have some indecision. And I think that would be interesting to see in gameplay.
Or multitasking.
Yeah.
I have to
Also that.
fight the Vanduul that are boarding my ship, but my ship is also on fire. I have to put it out, and I don't have a helmet.
Oh God. All right.
We're moving on to the second slide. Oh my God, this is only the second slide. This
Our
is
podcast
again very.
You guys know how long this podcast is. We don't at this point.
At this point, we just got started.
This is on the fly. Everyone around us is terrified right now.
Yeah.
Or sleeping. Second slide. Squadron 42, the primary tech hurdles.
Hey Vince, can we put those on the screen, or am I asking too much?
You're asking too much.
I don't know.
It's a bit late.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah? Yeah. Okay. Confirmed. You don't have to go anywhere. Forget what I said about the links, but I mean, you can click on it if you want. We're gonna put. I mean, if you're listening to the audio, I guess it would help, but dude, you'll see.
well done. INN! You just derailed everything.
Just
That's
watch
fine.
the damn podcast.
It's fine, but hey, we're still gonna talk about it. Here we go.
Doing it live. Now this is just a bullet point. Most of the base technology is now complete.
Yep.
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 The one that isn't.
What's still in progress, and this is for Squadron 42, most of the base technology required for Squadron 42
It's done.
done.
Finite.
Still in progress. Now, I think that this was incredibly important. And before we even get into what is still in progress, I want to note that this is the first time they've told us this much detail about what is left to come with Squadron 42.
Yep.
I do want to mention, though, they did, people have been complaining about their communication. They did at least give us this part a couple weeks ago. We knew that subsumption was still the big blocker a few weeks ago. They talked about it.
And it's subsumption is still the main blocker. Now, there's a few bullet points that I'm going to go through rapidly.
Yep.
In subsumption, they're still working on pathfinding logic, full animation integration, improved combat logic, mission system integration, and enhanced flight AI. That's all subsumption points that they're still working on. Pretty important. They have to get these right.
Actually, Chris Roberts really reiterated on this. The AI is incredibly important for Squadron 42. It has to be good.
Yeah.
So they will iterate and iterate and iterate until it's good enough.
And they have the magic team to do it in Germany.
I want to mention that the magic team in Germany, yes, but this system is being designed by their very own Tony Zurovec.
Yes.
Tony Zurovec is, well, I'm sure you all know. I'm not even going to get into.
No words.
No.
Next bullet point.
There are two other. That's subsumption. It's the main thing that's still in progress. There are two other bullets. And I think we're going to go to Nakara to explain this one in more detail because it's something that I think a lot of people don't really quite comprehend. I kind of have trouble wrapping my head around it sometime. Object container streaming.
Object container streaming. Okay. So basically, a lot of things in the universe are object containers. Ships are object containers. They contain objects. Planets are object containers.
They contain ships.
Containers are object containers.
They
This is
contain
true.
containers.
Containers that contain more containers.
So, things like space stations, anything like that, anything at all, any building. These are all object containers. Object container streaming is the idea that you don't have to hold all of these objects in memory, which is a bitch, frankly. It's especially for a game like Star Citizen, it's way too big. You really need to be able to stream these in and out constantly as you're playing. That is one of the things that they're working on still. So this is, as you approach something, it is loaded in for you. And as you leave, it's loaded out.
It's like if you've got you're attacking a Banu merchantman. All it needs to show is that right now, all you need to know is you're attacking a Banu merchantman with this, these guns. But then you break in and you start going into the Banu merchantman, it needs to directly stream to you the inside, right?
Yeah, and that's not only, and that goes down to many, many levels.
Oh, yeah.
Even. So then it's even like the inside of a cargo pod. You don't actually need to know what's in it until you open it, and then that information is given to you.
Yeah, and it's one of the things that's going to make the giant universe possible, really.
It's also what's going to help the final bullet point, which you are looking at right now.
Yes.
One thing I want to stress is this is very scalable. So you get to object containers right from that level, the cargo pod, all the way up to, a system is an object container.
It contains
Objects.
stars
Oh,
and planets and
One-
ships and containers and containers containing containers.
Yes.
Containers that
Okay, so the
contain
final bullet
containers
point of this slide is CPU and GPU optimizations.
CPU and GPU optimization is the final stage before your game is done.
And I'm actually going to stress this may be the most important thing for Star Citizen. They have never had to do it to the level of a final game. This is where you're going to see anti-aliasing come in. You're going to see every little trick that they normally do for games. It'll
You
all
think
be in
Star
there.
Citizen looks good now?
Yeah,
Ooh,
they have to
baby.
get it. They have to get it all done before Squadron 42 can come out. This is probably also going to include their DirectX 12 integration
Yep.
and their Vulkan integration.
Yep.
It'll be.
If
It's
not,
a lot
it
of
might
work for
come
the guys
later.
at Frankfurt.
Yeah.
Actually, and I believe a lot of the graphics programmers are also at the UK.
Yep. And it's going to be a lot of work for Austin too, because they got to, put it all into.
But
Actual-
I do want to stress that this slide here, this is what's
yes.
left. No, the one that we're on right now.
Yeah.
This is what's left.
Yep.
That's it.
It sounds like a lot. I mean, subsumption is huge. Object container streaming, very important to seamlessly running the game. Same with CPU and GPU optimization. This will basically mean that, people with older PCs can kind of run Star Citizen a bit, but it's difficult. This might give them that little boost to mean that they can actually play. And it might mean that the rest of us can get more than 30 frames a second.
And honestly, especially talking with Tony Zervek,
Yeah.
let me tell you what, it sounds like subsumption's real close.
Yeah. Good. Yeah. I like this this next slide a lot. Like I said on the previous slide was like the first time they've really told us what the blockers for Squadron 42 are. This next slide, the Squadron 42 status update, this is the first time they've given us this much detail on where it is. And I think we're going to go to Jake to explain this first bullet point. And the first bullet point is all chapters and gameplay features are at gray box or better.
Now, I've seen so many reactions on the subreddit on this, thinking like, oh, they're nowhere even close to done. I don't think you guys understand. This means you can play from beginning to end Squadron 42.
The whole thing.
The entire game.
Yep.
Yeah.
Gray box does not mean not done. It means
It means very
it's
much the
real
opposite.
done.
And basically, the only thing that's missing from a gray box is final textures. All of the geometry is done. And this is the other thing is that's gray box or better.
All
for
of the
everything.
geometry and all of the animations are done.
And I also want to mention, like a lot of people glossed over this, but that's gameplay features as well.
Yeah.
Yep.
That means that they're basically content complete.
Yeah.
No,
They
not
are.
basically. That's
They
content
They
complete.
they are content complete.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And
Cut out basically.
one of
Vince, cut out basically.
one of the things that I think is really important about this is
Overrated with totally. Please don't do that, Vince.
they're content complete. That means that their QA have probably started running through have started running through the game.
Oh yeah,
QA has started.
That's been going on for a while.
Actually, not even started. They've been
It's-
doing it for a while.
Oh, I know,
Yeah.
but it's important for people to know that because everyone thinks, oh, you can't do QA until everything
Nah,
is
dude.
ready. No, they've been doing this for a long time. They know how it runs, and now QA is more. Oh, we know how everything goes. We know that it all works smooth, and it's more about once they add new textures and make sure everything's good looking. It's QA is just making sure that it didn't break anything.
Yep.
Like the QA process is 90% complete, 80%, but it's like it's up there.
Mostly is the word you're looking
Mostly complete. The game is mostly complete. Number two, bullet point number 2. Sorry. I get excited about that first one. Bullet point number 2.
Squadron 42 is done, is what we're saying right
On
now.
that first one, yeah. The second bullet point is another one that I think is really important. It's one that they just missed for CitizenCon. Now, this is what they wanted to show us. It's the idea of taking one chapter to final shipping quality, which means they were going to flush out any technical integration and polish issues. They weren't able to do it. They got close, but there's a reason they didn't show us.
I would like to talk
slice.
about this actually.
Okay,
You good
go.
with that?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm okay with that.
All right. One thing I want to mention to people, and that people don't seem to quite understand, or even just rail against,
They also don't even know.
or
Yeah.
don't even know. Squadron 42 isn't Star Citizen. Star Citizen, they're fine with showing things that are broken and partially done, alpha, beta, whatever. They are not comfortable with showing Squadron 42 unless it is final. Perfect, done. This is the game we are shipping. This is what you will see when you play it. They ran into problems, and they were like, well, it's not good enough. And that doesn't mean that it was crap, or that they didn't run at all, or that they couldn't play through the mission. It meant that it wasn't perfect.
I do want to add to that very quickly. Conversely, we could have gotten the opposite of that, which is what we've gotten used to from companies presenting their video games, and that we're shown something better than the final product.
Yeah.
Which is
Even
which is even worse. And
Watch Dogs.
and Ubisoft.
Yeah,
Um,
Ubisoft.
It's showing us that they are committed
Dedicated.
to showing us exactly what we're going to experience with the final game.
Yeah.
And in order for them to do that, they need to finish it.
Yep.
Continue.
And not only that, I mean, this is a rumor. I am not repeating anything privileged.
Yep.
But we heard that the decision to take it out was super last minute.
Yep. Like day or two at most before
It was
CitizenCon.
this was even we've been bantering around in the group about how they maybe should have warned us about this earlier, but I don't think they could have because they didn't know.
now.
And I heard this from multiple CIG people.
And this is something I actually want to mention, and this is something that happens every year at CitizenCon. Like last year, they had no idea. Like they were working till the very end on everything they showed us. Like it wasn't like they were done 2 weeks before CitizenCon. They were in the office till they finished it, and then they went from the office directly to CitizenCon. Like, they didn't stop working until the presentation started, basically. And previous years, it's worked. They've managed to show it. We're going to be doing a little tiny bit of camera movement here. I apologize, but it has to happen.
What's happening?
Stuff's happening in the background. This is the first time that they've missed that hard deadline, which is go time at CitizenCon. And
And I'm not sure. It might be the first time they've missed at CitizenCon. Certainly isn't the first time they've missed at a
no.
presentation.
It's the first time they've missed
I
at
remember PAX
CitizenCon.
East.
Yeah, not talking about PAX East. First time they missed at CitizenCon, and it's honestly, it sucks.
And
And-
here's the thing too. I heard this not only from multiple people, but I'm pretty sure Eric heard it from the man himself.
Mm-hmm.
That like this demo was so close to being done. We're gonna see it really
soon.
soon.
Let's just say there are 2 live streams between now and the end of the year.
Yeah,
There's one in like
that
4
is
weeks,
actually
Yeah,
that
and
is
one
actually
4
a
weeks
quote.
after that.
Yeah, so
it's
just hang on for a little bit.
It's really, really unfortunate, and believe me, every single person. We were at the convention, and then we spoke with many CIG people, as we are wont to do. Every single person we talked to was honestly extremely sad that they weren't able to show us.
Even more disappointed than a lot of you guys are.
But at the same time, and this is one thing I've heard from almost everyone, everyone was actually really, really proud of Chris Roberts for making this decision to not show, because he knew, everyone knew what the reaction would be.
And I think it was something that that like isn't it wouldn't have been like unnoticeable.
Yeah.
I think I've heard like
I've heard that there were
like,
some LODs that were wrong. I've heard that there's some animations that aren't
They're
quite.
having trouble with transitions. Too,
Yeah.
so
it was things on characters that like in like very small bugs, but it was taking them a while to locate them and lock them down.
Yeah.
And it was like immersion destruction.
Yeah.
And
it might not be
that.
It might not be immersion destruction compared to what we're used to seeing in Star Citizen, of things popping in or a tiny bit of like glitches in the graphics. But
this is Squadron 42.
It's Squadron 42.
A whole other thing.
They need this to be perfect.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
So
we should.
Yeah, we're moving on to the next point. There's 3 points on this
We're going on late,
slide,
folks.
Oh my!
But I do think that is one of the biggest things that people were bummed out about, and it's like
we
looked on Reddit, and I was sitting at the bar next to Tyler.
Yeah.
The night of CitizenCon, and he's just looking at these Reddit threads, like, oh my god, we're being destroyed right now, and I'm like, hey, like.
Fuck up.
That's what's happening now.
Y'all are gonna finish this demo real quick, and everybody's gonna turn right around.
Yeah.
So don't even worry about it. And
Yeah.
like guys, we really don't have to wait that long.
Yeah.
Compared to
Third one.
4 years,
I'm cutting you off. I'm
4
cutting you off.
weeks.
Cutting you off.
Go.
Chicken.
Third point. They're building technology and systems for the long term and the whole Star Citizen universe. They are not taking any shortcuts. Now, I think this one's interesting simply because, well, everything they're doing in Star Citizen, and this has come in with procedural planets. We already kind of talked about this. The things that they're doing for Star Citizen is affecting Squadron 42. And the things that they're doing in Squadron 42 are affecting Star Citizen. It's 2 separate games, kind of, but the development is intertwined.
They're building an engine. And
they're building a universe.
Well, no, they're building an engine and releasing 2 products with it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What I would like to talk about with this is a little bit. I'm going to go off on a tangent because, well, that's what we've been doing the whole time.
Welcome to what we do. Hey.
So one thing that I saw a recent criticism that they didn't do. There were folks out there who said they should have raised up to a certain amount of money, made Squadron 42, and then used that money to make Star Citizen. There is a very fundamental problem with this. If you are making only the single-player game, you will make decisions that are designed only for a single-player game. It would make Star Citizen very hard or even impossible to make. The only way to do what they're trying to do is to do them both at the same time.
You know what I just thought of? Sorry to interject, but if they had done that, and if they were only making the first single-player game, and then they were going to add the rest of it, we wouldn't have Arena Commander, we wouldn't have the Persistent Universe, we wouldn't even have the Hangar.
No, we wouldn't have anything yet.
We would have nothing.
Well, arguably, we would already have Squadron.
We'd have Squadron, but we wouldn't have anything else, because they'd have to completely redesign everything to make it, because... Sorry.
But... really, I just wanted to touch on that because it has been a criticism of them that they didn't just go ahead and put out Squadron 42 and then make the Persisting Universe. You can't. I actually don't think it could have been done in that way, not the way that they want it to be done.
Yeah.
Because there's too many decisions made along the line that are, we're putting out a single player game, we don't have to worry about networking.
Yeah.
We don't have to worry about this, we don't have to worry about that, we don't have to worry about
these 12 procedural planets.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of things would have been different, and this is the game that we want.
They wouldn't have to worry about building an entire Bengal.
I'm stop talking now because I've been rambling for a while.
Yeah.
Well, and that
we gotta.
Well, and see, that's the thing, is that people are gonna play Squadron 42. And they're going to be like, this is insane. The AI is crazy. The fidelity is crazy. Drink. The
fidelity.
Fidelity.
The just like all these systems that are amazing and games have never done them before. And then they're going to be like, oh, wait, there's an MMO that has all of this.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's done.
Yeah. 3.0 will probably be making that. Well, no, 3.0 will definitely be making it out before Squadron 42 does. And 3.0 has
It's got some good stuff in
good
it.
stuff. We'll talk about that
Very soon.
Moving on to the next slide. I think this is what, slide 4?
Yeah, that's
Yep.
about right.
Hey.
2.6 progress report. Now we're done talking about Squadron 42, which actually gets us out of most of the iffy stuff. But into 2.6, gameplay updates. Additional Star Marine features. I have no idea what this point means.
Oh, we're going to find out in a second.
But
Well, no.
No.
I mean, we don't have Star Marine yet, so what are the additional
what are the
features
additional
for
features
it?
they've added to Star Marine? We don't know what.
Oh, no, it's on the Star Marine slide.
All right.
Okay. We'll look at that on the Star Marine
There's
slide.
a Star Marine slide.
There's
Spoiler.
a Star
True.
Marine. There's
Good
apparently,
point. Yeah.
folks, there's a
Wow.
Star Marine
There's a
slide.
Star Marine slide.
I did just read through these earlier, but whatever. An updated Arena Commander, which we kind of know a bit about.
Yep.
You know what? These are talking about stuff we're going to talk about in a second, so let's just
Yeah.
go through these. Crusader map expanded content, lobby and leaderboards totally refactored. I don't think we talk about this later, so we should talk about the lobby and leaderboards now.
Okay. So as it stands right now, if you're watching this after 2.6 comes out, because who knows? As it stands right now in the game, or
Beer!
oh, beer has arrived.
Random beer delivery.
Hey,
no.
beer deliverer, is there a bottle opener?
No.
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 Okay, that
Thanks,
was that
Vince.
was a failure on the beer delivery.
Thanks, Vince.
Fired.
So as it stands right now, in Arena Commander, and probably in the former Star Marine, you would have to load into the lobby, then load into the map, then load back into the lobby,
And load back into the map.
and then queue for another game, and then load back into that map, and over and over and over and over again. Now, if
No.
you play a game like Overwatch, there's maybe
Which
10
you
seconds. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's a good video game. There's maybe like 10 seconds where you're waiting between matches. Sometimes more if you're waiting for people, but that's the only thing is you'd be waiting for people.
Yeah.
Because for some reason you queued with 4 people, stop that. Don't do that. Get a full team, queue with your buddy. So
Nothing
Yeah,
is
I
happening here, folks.
Friends.
Nothing at all.
well, no. So that the lobby being refactored is going to make it so that it's going to queue nice and fast to get in and out of matches like it's nothing.
Now,
Yeah.
what's the other big point there, Jake?
Leaderboards.
What are those?
Actually, no. Back to the lobbies. What's
Yeah.
the other
Oh.
big point of that?
What is the
That's-
other big point of that?
There's a new lobby.
This enables us to use multi-crew ships in Arena Commander
Oh
properly.
yeah.
You
Big.
can actually queue for. You can actually properly in the lobby have multiple people on one ship.
Yep. You
Um,
queue on board that ship.
Which means that you will be able to fly your Connie in Arena Commander, which is freaking terrifying. Or Starfare, which is just amazing.
And with
Vaguely ridiculous.
with the updates we're
amazing.
getting, it's gonna make those ships a lot more viable.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
Speaking of flight model rebalance.
In case you didn't know, they're cutting all the ship speeds by like 20 to 40%, making it more a knife fight than a joust.
Yeah.
it's gonna be good.
One of the things I've always kind of thought was weird about Star Citizen
Oh,
was...
there we go.
Oh,
That's
Earthquake.
Yep. A little bit of
Earthquake.
earthquake. Just for anyone that's wondering, we are recording this at like 11 p.m. at night, and there are other people in this INN house.
It's the INN house.
And some of them don't.
space plague.
That.
Dolvak's butt caused the earthquake. And now
It's a Dolvac quake.
Oh, is there
Can you
another
do it?
quake?
Nope.
No.
it's a minor. It's a
Applause
minor.
for CS.
It's a minor Canadian syrup crotch aftershock.
Or a crotchter shock.
All right. Let's continue.
You can tell that we're doing this live.
Yeah.
Can you? I'm not... Maybe.
But we're not. I mean, we're not live, but we're
doing it
we're doing it live.
Continue.
So
We're not cutting it.
So flight model, like, there's other stuff talk about that. It's making it less so the M50 is not a bullet flying around like a little mosquito. I mean, it's still going to be kind of a mosquito, but at least you'll be able to hit it this time. It's going to pull the combat closer together, which makes multi-crew ships a lot more viable.
Yeah.
One thing I want to talk about with this before the earthquake happened.
One
of the things that's always been kind of difficult about Star Citizen is you're supposed to be able to shoot different parts of a ship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But a lot of times you were going way too fast to actually achieve that problem.
Exactly.
To achieve that, you're always. What is happening
I'm sorry. Oh God, we should really turn that off.
We need to turn off the TV.
No, we don't.
Oh my God.
No, we don't. It's perfect.
We're seeing
All right.
people being folded in half right now. Okay.
So one thing I wanted to talk about is that it's been really difficult to shoot individual parts of a ship because you're never close enough. You're always moving too fast.
Yes.
I'm hoping that gets changed a bit. I'm
Yeah.
excited to see this. This is with the avocados right now.
Guacamole.
And so hopefully 2.6 comes soon. Cortec.
Okay, so they're also with the 2.6 progress report. They are updating They are updating some of the core tech, and one of the things we actually saw in what's coming up later that we'll talk about is the the new music logic system.
Go watch that ATV because they'll explain it
Yeah.
way better than we can.
Yeah. But we will see some of the
Music
effects of that,
logic
and we will
ATV.
talk about some of the effects of that when we talk about the actual, the Homestead demo, as CIG are calling it right now. The camera system is also being updated for the third person. I think this is mainly to allow content creators to get better visuals.
Better sweet camera angles. Yeah.
I don't know if it's still done, but I can't remember who it was that was talking about how he would get some of his gameplay visuals, but he'd have a console. It's right there. An Xbox 360 controller with like pedals and like a head-mounted thing, so he could look around while he was flying, and it was just apparently really, really hard for people to get stuff in-game recorded well, and I'm hoping that this camera system update might...
Well, and that's the entire point of it. It's not just frivolous. The whole point is because they love so much of what we do in the community, making videos, but our cameras suck.
Yeah, they really do.
So they're completely updating the third-person camera system to make getting visuals much easier. You saw a little bit of this. I think some of the stuff you saw in the Homestead demo showed it. But third point.
We talked about this when we were talking about the lobby. The stay in game without going back to the lobby. This is
Nice. Quality of life.
Yeah, this is just getting rid of some of those really, really long loading screens, which is huge.
I don't like
it's
loading
huge.
screens.
Nobody likes loading screens.
I'm okay with one big one.
And Star Citizen's a big game. It takes a while to load. There's no point in loading it over and over and over and over again.
Yeah. Now we're going to talk about the stuff that they're changing in Arena Commander. Now with 2.6, they're going to be adding a new virtual ship customization interface. Now this means that you don't have to go into your hangar before a match to customize your ship. Then you go into the match. You're going to be able to customize your ship directly from the lobby, which is, it's great. It means, oh, I didn't like these weapons. I'm just going to change them in Arena Commander. I don't have to go back to lobby, change to something else, go back in. Huge improvement.
Massive improvement.
Yeah. There's also apparently going to be a new Pirate Swarm arena. Now, we don't know much about a new Pirate Swarm arena, but hey, Pirate Swarm is all we had for a long, long time. And it's what I honestly enjoyed.
Vandal Swarm, you mean?
Vandal Swarm, but Pirate Swarm is like Vandal Swarm, but with pirates.
I'm assuming they'll probably make it a little bit different in some other ways
Yeah.
than just changing out the enemies. But regardless, just having some variety is going to be a good improvement.
I mean, it's all we had for a long, long time, and I think people have kind of forgotten about it with the persistent universe. But I really liked that whole swarm gameplay thing, and I'm looking forward to it.
People like Horde mode, yo.
Horde mode's awesome.
Horde mode's great.
Actually, hoping for Horde mode in
Star Marine.
Star Marine at
Yep.
some point.
Yes, please. Hey,
Overwatch.
CIG, you know.
Yep.
Um,
CIG, you're watching
you're
this? I know
watching
you're
this?
watching this. We need a Horde mode in
Horde mode.
Star Marine.
Horde mode in Star Marine. Do it.
Persistent missiles. Now, this is not saying that the missiles themselves are persistent when they shoot, because I believe they already are. It's saying that you can't shoot a missile, shoot all your missiles. You're in a gladiator, you shoot 40 of them, crash into an asteroid, respawn, shoot another 40 missiles.
Nah, man.
Nope.
It's not really fun. I mean, I'm sure it's fun for the people in the gladiator, but it's not fun for anyone else. This is basically it kind of attaches with the next point, which is where you reload from pickups dropped by kills.
It's making Arena Commander more of a video game.
Which is what it actually is.
Which makes sense because
Which
it's
is
actually an
cool.
in-universe video game.
Yeah.
So having pickups from kills will be great, and it actually ties into probably will help them with some of the long-term gameplay surrounding looting in the persistent universe.
It's going to be a full scoring rebalance. We don't really know much
You
else.
just took away my job from me.
Get wrecked. So.
Ow, I'm hurt.
Most ships now available for use in private matches.
What am I here for?
Nothing.
Apparently.
Basically, what this means is that, for the most part, if there's a ship in Star Citizen, it'll be available in Arena Commander now. Right now, or after 2.6, right now it's pretty limited. A lot of the big ships, especially, are not in Arena Commander.
Yep. Now,
I want to fly my Starfarer, do some sweet maneuvers.
Or just sit there and blow the crap out of everything.
Yeah, I'd be okay with that. I want to play Vandal Swarm with a Starfarer Gemini.
Yep.
good.
Come
just,
at me,
just
bro.
crash into everything.
No, I got those missiles in the front, man.
Oh, true.
Or the
Endless
turret.
rockets.
Yeah. Star Marine. Coming with 2.6. Now there are going to be 2 locations. Station Damien, which is up to 4v4, so 8 players, and Echo 11, which is up to 12v12, conspicuously absent.
Me and Grey-Headed Gamer are very psyched for the 4v4.
He and Grey-Headed Gamer are not conspicuously absent. What is conspicuously absent
This
is
is the Gold Horizon
Gold
station.
Horizon.
We
I
think,
forgot about that.
we're 99% sure. It's possible one of those things is
Yeah.
actually Gold Horizon.
Renamed.
We're not 100% sure, but it doesn't look like it's there. Which
Isn't
I
Gold-
would like to talk to them about.
I
but
don't
whatever.
remember hearing us talk about this before. Isn't Gold Horizon a brand of station, not the name of the station?
Yes, this
Yeah.
is true.
So
it could have been Station 11 or Station Damien.
either of those things
could be Gold Horizon. We
Yes.
don't know. We're gonna have to wait and see. But at the very least, it's changed its name.
Yep.
12v12 is honestly not bad. I mean, if you
That's pretty serious for an online game.
Yeah.
20 that's 24 players. I mean, what we've come accustomed to lately is like Battlefield gets up to what, 48 players?
Those are huge
Those are-
maps, though. Those are
Yeah.
huge maps.
64 players. That's a huge map, but like
Starting out with 24 is
starting
not
out with
bad.
24 is not bad, and honestly, 24.
Overwatch is 6v6.
Yeah, 6v6, and what do and sorry, I don't play consoles, but what do
doesn't play-
consoles normally max out on like Battlefield or Call of Duty? Like
It's like 24v24.
it's
Yeah.
it's
So
this is a good start.
It's a great place to start.
Yep.
I'm really interested to see what the gameplay differences end up being between 4v4 and 12v12.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier to organize 4 players than 12.
Yes. Can't wait. We do know that there are going to be 2 game modes to start. Deathmatch, which is everyone knows Deathmatch. If you don't know Deathmatch,
Slayer.
wow. Weird.
Well, frankly,
Sure.
I'm not entirely sure why you're watching this video.
Yeah. And
How did you find this? Why are
What?
you? Why have
Who
you
are
gotten
you?
this far?
This is weird.
And-
Greetings.
Hi.
Hi.
Nice to meet you. And
That's
Control.
weird. Why did we all do that?
I don't know. Control. Control is going to be, well, it's point control.
Yeah, it's another very familiar game mode.
King of the Hill.
It's also
good
known as
stuff.
Domination. It's known as a million different things.
Oh, we don't know.
It's just playing.
Anyway, that is Star Citizen.
Die. Just go die.
So
At least he's not
our
causing any
next
more
one
butt
is new
earthquakes.
content. The new content for Star Marine.
Hey, remember that bullet point in the last slide? We were wondering what the additional features for Star Marine were going to be.
No. This is content, not features.
You know what?
Yeah.
So the new
Yeah.
the new content is new armor, weapons, and grenades. Well, which is new armor, weapons, and grenades.
Really?
Yeah, pretty much.
Strange.
Pew pew.
A tactical visor with
Boom, boom.
radar. Friendly player identification.
Finally.
Actually, I want to say I hope that this, carries over to Arena Commander as well, because being in a turret in a ship and not knowing what ship to shoot.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
That'd be nice.
Yeah.
Yep. No, there's definitely some improvements to turrets that need to happen too. But we did see some of that in 3.0.
Yeah, we did. We did.
All right.
Saw some of that in
Um,
August.
So two other really cool ones here that I don't know. Probably one's a lot cooler to me than others. Looting system implemented.
Yes.
Need that.
We think that the looting system is probably just going to be for, I think Chris actually said this during the demo.
Basically, this weapon.
It's weapons and ammo. Like, you're running out of ammo, you can loot the body of someone you've killed for their ammo.
Or weapon.
We don't know if it's going to include the HUD. We don't know if it's going to be, we don't know how simple or how complex it'll be, but...
I wonder if that'll be in Star Citizen too.
Yeah, but it does say looting system implemented, so...
Probably will have greater implications.
Yeah.
The other one I think is good for the game just because people need goals. Achievements and
sweet badoink, yo.
achievements and ribbons. Getting stuff makes people happy. That's why Xbox has all the achievements. That's why Steam has all of its achievements. That's why games have all their
You're
achievements.
wondering what I meant by that.
I knew what you meant.
Sweet
And
badoink.
so now we're moving
knew
on
you
to the
meant.
next slide, which
Actually,
is
I want to
3.0.
mention something about the achievements and the ribbons.
Doink.
I actually find this kind of interesting because it's going to be different between it, and it's part of the thing that shows that it's the badoink.
Badoink.
It's part of the thing that oh, that came out of nowhere.
Was that my wife?
Yes.
My wife threw a Kleenex box at me, and David was the casualty.
David's down. Okay, so 3.0.
No. Fine.
No,
Screw it.
no,
Apparently, if I
go
try
ahead.
and talk about things,
Go.
I get Kleenex boxes to the face.
Go. What do you want to say about achievements?
No, I find this kind of
Doink.
interesting because in Star Citizen, we know that the achievements and stuff are supposed to be given. I think my glasses are shifted. Damn it.
What?
She hit my glasses. They don't feel right.
Oh.
I think that in Star Citizen, we know that achievements and stuff are supposed to be shown in the form of trophies and in-game stuff. And I think that getting achievements and ribbons in Star Marine is just as important as getting what was it in Arena Commander? I can't even remember.
What?
But it differentiates the ammo pickups. Ammo pickups in Arena Commander and achievements and ribbons in Star Citizen. So they're finally Star Marine, sorry. They're starting to differentiate the in-game games of Star Marine and Arena Commander versus the actual game of Star Citizen. I think that's an important distinction, and I'm glad they're making it.
I think you'll see that come more and more as the games mature.
Yep. Okay, moving
be
on.
sweet?
Moving on. I think we're on to slide maybe
What would be
6.
sweet?
Hold on.
Jake.
What would
Okay.
be sweet is when they finally finish both of these things. If you own Star Citizen, right, you could just download Arena Commander and Star Marine on a computer that might not be able to handle Star Citizen.
That'd be
but
cool.
But you could run a shooter.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's possible. You could polish the bejesus out of those two.
That's
And,
a good idea. We
Hey,
should.
Yeah.
CIG.
CIG.
Yeah. CIG.
If you own a copy of Star Citizen, you could download the modules separately.
That's a good idea.
On a crappier computer.
Not only that, I'm going to go one step further.
Oh no.
I'm going one step further.
Oh, no.
Yeah, we are.
We don't go further. Go
Um,
further.
It's not big enough.
So Spectrum is going to be on mobile devices, right? In about 4 years, we're probably going to have supercomputers on our hand. You might even be able to play something like Arena Commander on a phone.
No.
Highly polished, pared down.
Plug a controller in.
Controller,
yo.
bro. Wireless controller, bro.
I can see it
Bluetooth.
happening.
Can't play Star Citizen with a controller as it is.
It's true. Let's move on.
Pared down, simplified controls for Arena Commander on mobile. CIG?
CIG.
CIG. Let's
10 years from now.
move on. Let's move on.
Burgers.
3.0, the Stanton system. Now we are getting to the
Hashtag Berg.
Go.
We're getting to the roadmap. We're actually going to try and run through this roadmap slightly quickly because,
But
oh
it's
my god,
so good.
we've been talking for a while. Actually, how are we doing for batteries?
Oh, well, better keep going.
Yeah. 3.0 Stanton system. Now, the 3.0 Stanton system, we've heard that we're supposed to get it later this year. Hopefully that still happens.
He never said that.
He
Not
did.
for this, not for...
Not at
he- no,
CitizenCon, but he said it before.
He said it at Gamescom. He did not say it at CitizenCon.
No.
Oh,
At
well, that's
Gamescom-
because someone yelled at him.
Yeah.
At Gamescom, they said end of the year. We don't know. There's no release date at all. 3.0 Stanton system is supposed to add several...
Earthquake.
This is a Vince Quake.
Vince Quake.
Vince Quake, checking the battery. The Stanton system is supposed to add several basic professions. We're talking trading, cargo transport, piracy and smuggling, mercenary, and bounty hunter.
Uh-huh.
Pretty basic professions, but
Yep.
And they're all tied together. I would like
Yep.
people to notice.
they're all very close together. I mean, trading and cargo work together.
This is what happens when you add a cargo and basic economy component
This
to
is
a game.
this is actually
This happens.
This is something that I think a lot of people who are not familiar with Star Citizen don't get.
Yeah,
You know what they did? They added cargo to the game.
yeah.
yeah, that's
this
it.
this is what falls out of it. You get trading, cargo transport, piracy and smuggling, mercenary, and bounty hunter professions.
You know why that is? Because you've got trading, which means that one planet wants something that another planet has, which means you need cargo to transport what one planet wants to the other planet that needs it, which means you've got piracy and smuggling because some people want to steal what other people are transporting and then smuggle it and sell it for
Yeah,
illegally.
Some planets
And
want
then-
things that they're not supposed to have.
Yeah, and then you've got mercenaries to either protect those pirates or to protect the cargo people, and then you have bounty hunters to hunt down the just huge. Add
It
one
all
system,
was
all
added.
this
And
comes.
it all falls out.
Yeah.
One mechanic.
One mechanic. All of this comes from one mechanic. With all those mechanics, we're getting the full Stanton system rollout. Let's talk about the Stanton system rollout for a second.
Okay, I'm gonna.
It's a Stanton system rollout.
I'm gonna roll this out.
Roll it out for us?
people.
Autobots.
This
roll
is
out.
roll out. Yes, this is Microcheck, Hurston, ArcCorp, and
Hurston, Microtech, ArcCorp, Crusader.
Crusader. Thank you very much. And
I had to
actually,
say again what you said because I did not process.
the fifth one is actually this is not a system in the Stanton system, but it's good or a planet in
planet.
the
There's
Stanton
totally
system. But it's going to be there anyway. Delamar will temporarily be ripped out of the
Can
Nix
we-
system and stuffed into the Stanton
Guys,
system.
I'm spoiling what we're gonna get later, but if the first system that we get with jump points is the Nix system, I just want
Delamar
like
gets
a really
sucked through the jump
yeah.
point.
I just want a really garbage cinematic
Of Delamar just
Delamar getting stuck through the jump point. It'd be so good.
CIG, look at stuff. We got all the ideas.
we got it. We got
man.
you.
Okay.
Where's my money?
New ships. New
Okay.
ships.
Now, with the Stanton system rollout and with the professions, the beginning of professions, we're also going to be getting some
tickled by that one.
tickled. I like that. Tickled.
You've
It's
never-
good.
you've
Oh, I've
never
heard it.
heard-
I just
okay.
like that you used it.
I use it all the time.
We're also going to be getting some new ships. Now, the Ursa rover is not a ship.
It's a vehicle.
It's not a ship. It's a vehicle.
I don't know, man. You
It's on a ships.
You get going fast enough on one of those.
Take one of those jumps.
You might find yourself in the atmosphere. Low gravity planet.
Low gravity planet.
Yeah.
Go right in the orbit. Yeah.
Ursa rover, Drake dragonfly, Drake caterpillar,
Caterpillar.
and RSI constellation Aquila.
Yep.
I said it right that time.
Very
Yes, you
good.
did.
Thank you. Those are some good ships. Now we know that the Drake Dragonfly, we've actually seen it a lot recently. We saw it at CitizenCon, we saw it at Gamescom. It's basically done, we know that. The Drake Caterpillar is going to be huge for cargo and transport and trading and piracy and smuggling. It's the Caterpillar is
literally
basically all of those professions.
All 5 of those professions.
You
Excellent.
can do any of those things.
And the Aquila is
Exploration. Yeah, so because you have a whole system, you need an explorer.
Yep. And the Aquila contains an Ursa.
Yeah, we need
Yes.
something to carry that Ursa.
Yeah.
You gotta
We
have something to explore with.
Exactly. So let's move on to the next
Here's the thing, and I'm going to say this now because we're going to get into this. We have never had this much information about what's coming in Star Citizen.
I wanted to, I actually mentioned that.
Ever. We've only really known what's coming in the next patch and maybe one more patch after that. But now we've watched this. Enjoy. We've got content.
Yep. We actually know now what's coming from basically October of 2016 right through till December of 2017.
Yeah. Where was I?
3.1.
Go ahead.
Moving on to 3.1, mining and refining.
Refining and mining.
Mining and refining.
And processing.
And
Go.
so this is going to bring mining, refining and processing, quantum interdiction,
Refueling.
and escort. Now, one of those,
It's
one
like
of
the
these
others.
things is not like the other. One of these things just really belongs, but
Quantum
is still kind of weird.
Interdiction.
So basically, you'll be ripping people out of subspace.
While they're mining.
Well, no, because they'll be jumping, not mining. Anyway,
That means we're
so
going to need UI and scanners to actually
Weird.
see people flying through space.
That's actually, I want to point out something. You can actually see people jumping in Crusader. It's kind of hard to see because they're super freaking fast.
Yeah.
But I've seen some recordings of it. You can see them jumping around. Obviously, they're going to have to slow that down a little bit, or there's no way. This is gonna work.
Or find a way to be able to predict it.
And but yeah, you'll be able to rip people out of quantum drive and drop them into normal speed. Probably for this to be effective, it will also disable their quantum drive for a while. This is obviously a core mechanic for these types of games. It happens over and over again in them, but it's still pretty cool.
Yeah. With all of these new mechanics, we're going to be getting several new ships.
What about the additional solar system locations?
There are also going to be additional solar systems.
So this means
No.
things like
Locations added.
Olisar and Grimhex. We're gonna get more of those.
Yeah.
Yep.
But this is going to carry on through each of these patches. Every single patch includes additional solar system locations. It's in all of them.
I will note that he did not talk about how the fact that we're getting 40 space stations in 3.0 this time.
40.
He did not talk about that because I think he got his.
But handed to him.
I think that he was. There were several people who were unhappy with him after he said that.
Details.
At Gamescom. Anyway,
We're also
moving right
getting
along.
we're also getting some new ships, which is the Drake Cutlass Red and Blue.
Of note is that the Cutlass Black rework is coming before this.
Yes.
They don't know exactly when, which is why you didn't see it listed in any of these, but it has been
will predate
confirmed
it.
by several people, including the esteemed Lesnick of Ben, that
I like that.
the Lesnick of Ben,
Yeah.
that the Cutlass Black rework will be in the game before the blue and the red.
Yeah. We're also going to be getting the Misk Hull C. Now, Nakar, do you want to explain to us why it's probably the C that we're starting with?
So the C is kind of core to the Misk hull line, but people kind of misunderstand this. The Misk hull C will not allow them to do the entire line. It will allow them to do from C to E. So C, D, and E.
They're all on the same frame.
They're all in the same frame. They're all essentially the same ship, just different sizes. However, there are two different chassis for the hulls. The A and B exist on one chassis, and then the C, D, and E exist on a different chassis. So this will give you, I mean, the only one we'll get then is C, but it will make D and E super easy to make. And then you'll probably see A and B come later. I would imagine they'll probably come pretty quickly after that, but that's just my guess.
Next on the list of ships where we'll be getting, fitting with the mining, refining, and processing mechanics,
I'm
is the
excited.
Misk, oh my god, yes, Prospector.
Which is interesting because remember how they said when they were talking about mining a little while ago that the first iteration of mining is pretty much just going to be handheld mining
yeah.
on planets, and then
Not anymore.
Nah, man, we can throw in that Prospector; it'll be fine.
Yep.
It'll be fine. You can do whatever you want.
Super exciting.
So the Prospector is really cool, especially in this because it will allow you to do everything right away. Asteroid mining, planetary mining, you're good, and you can
Also-
use your buddy with the Hull C to haul all your crap.
Please ignore the picture of the Orion on this slide.
Yes.
It's not coming then.
No.
Whoever, hey, CIG.
Whoever did the
It's
pictures-
later.
did this-
It's later. It's later. We'll get to it. It's later. We'll get to it.
Okay, what did? Okay.
And last ship on that slide is the Origin 85X.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
the
Very,
little.
very pretty little ship.
It's the little shuttle ship that comes with the 890 jump.
Yep.
Yeah.
I want
Now,
one.
I would like to let everyone know that I'm making an executive decision.
Oh.
We are going to be taking a short break here. This is going to be a cut in the podcast. We'll resume shortly because we've been going for over an hour now, and we are probably not even halfway done. So we're going to take a short break. You won't even notice that we've taken a break. We'll be right back, but we'll be right back. We are back. We are live. I have no idea what happened
Guys.
between the time that we left you and the time that's happened now.
So much time has passed.
Oh, everything's
People-
changed.
More people died.
Oh, it's been
Including me.
been a avalanche of Doritos.
Good God. Am I plugged in?
Unfortunately.
Hey.
Hey. Moving on, we are hitting the next slide. I don't even know at this point how many slides we have left, but we've got a lot to
42.
cover still, easily. 3.2, patch 3.2 is going to be the repair and salvage patch.
Wait. Also, the lighting changed.
Lighting
Sorry
changed.
about that.
Again, in the aftermath of the bloodbath that happened between when we last saw you and now, several people died, some lamps were shattered,
Cleavage Doritos.
A new meme was two new memes were created.
several memes were created. Dolvac died again. We raised him,
and then he
and
died
he
again.
died again.
Pop that boyo.
Yeah.
His death can never die.
And Game of Thrones.
Oh God.
3.2.
Hey everyone.
Star Citizen.
Star Citizen 3.2, repair and salvage. Now, strangely enough, repair and salvage is going to include salvage and repair.
Also, completely separately from that,
Weirdly, mercenary covert operations. No idea what this one means. To be honest.
well, it means
what
covert
else?
operations.
You know what else comes in this patch?
Additional solar
we're
system
gonna get to that.
locations.
Additional solar system
I hate you.
locations.
I told you that comes in every patch.
But
Why didn't you? I told you not like 14 hours ago.
Okay, since those two are arguing, the new ships for this batch will be the RSI Constellation Taurus, the RSI Constellation Phoenix, the Anvil Terrapin, the Aegis Vanguard Harbinger, the Aegis Vanguard Sentinel, and, most significantly, the Aegis Reclaimer.
What? The Reclaimer?
The Reclaimer,
Hey.
possibly one of the largest ships by volume in
So-
Star Citizen, will be in this patch.
Possibly
My-
my favorite ship of all time. The ship
Yes.
that literally got me
It is
hired
incredible.
Don't
to
listen-
INN.
Yes.
Don't listen to these fools. My original ship packages in this list is the best ship, the Constellation Phoenix. Beautiful, magnificent whale of a ship.
Useless.
My
Yes.
Reclaimer will eat your Phoenix 4 times
Not
over.
before I blow it up.
Go away.
Useless. Anyway.
I've got a lot of missiles, y'all.
Reclaimer is everything.
In a hot
Moving
tub.
on. 3.3. Farming and rescue. Strangely enough, farming and rescue includes
Farming
farming
and
and
rescue.
rescue.
Now,
And additional solar
Hey,
system locations.
hey,
Beat
gu-
me to it.
Guys. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Guys, please ignore the
Endeavor
image
picture.
of the Endeavor biopod. All right, here's my time. It's my time now.
Oh,
I
no.
I
No.
didn't have it before. CIG, whoever made this PowerPoint, y'all,
Yo, Jakey Mofo.
y'all messed up. Hey, next time, let me do it. I'll actually, look at it.
Oh, no. No. Oh, God. No. No.
Okay,
You're fired.
so
Oh, okay.
the new ships for this
Anything
batch:
said
the
by
Anvil Carrack,
CCT, I have
the 890
disavowed.
Jump,
Yes.
the Banu Merchantman, the Misk Reliant,
All variants.
variants.
That's going to include the makeup.
it will include. the
Yeah, INN ship that isn't blue.
Yeah, but it will be.
Okay.
When we run it, it's going to be blue. This one's kind of interesting because when you think farming, you think, quite frankly, the Endeavor, and the Endeavor is not in this list. The Endeavor is nowhere on these lists. The Endeavor is not coming till well after 4.1, or 4.0, probably. Endeavor's not here. So farming
Planet-side
right
farming.
now, presently, we have to assume that the farming is going to be planet-side because there's no other ship that includes farming. There's nothing large enough other than the Endeavor for farming. We have to assume
You could farm in a Bengal carrier, but
it might be weird. And a Bengal carrier is just slightly larger than an Endeavor.
slightly.
Those are some big bagels.
Bagel farming. The finest wild bagels.
Wild bagels. Bagel taming.
Bagel taming.
Bagel trees.
We have to assume that the farming will be planet-based, which honestly is exciting. It's
By the way, I had this great and wonderful insight that was completely obvious today.
Yep.
I think the farming modules you see for PlanetSide, the little the things you put on the planet
Yeah.
for farming, will probably be the exact same
Yep.
biodomes that you stick on the Endeavor, just because, well, they do everything that way.
Yeah,
What if we
and
could land them on? Like, what if we could detach them from Endeavor and then
That
land
would be
them
cool.
on
That would be
planets?
really cool.
well, one of the things, and I'm gonna go back and nerd out about the Endeavor a tiny bit here. One of the things we've known about the Endeavor for a long time is that I'm getting 2 mics. Okay. We've known for a long time that the Endeavor farming modules. I'm getting 3 mics. The Endeavor farming modules actually can mimic, and this is the benefit of farming on Endeavor rather than on a planet, is that the Endeavor farming modules can mimic various planetary atmospheres and soil conditions and solar conditions. So you could grow, say, Terran wheat on your Endeavor and deliver it to random space station in
Stanton?
Stanton. Sure.
Wheat.
Terran wheat, I know, but whatever. That's supposed to come with the Endeavor later, but we're gonna have farming on planets
Does-
before then, apparently.
Terra have wheat.
not?
Yes. Also, Terran refers to both Terra and Earth.
Yeah, it's weird.
That's dumb.
Well,
It's-
yeah, but it does.
yeah. Well, they're the same, more or less, except one's
Wait,
awesome,
but
and the other's
Not.
Do we?
Earth.
Was that the one that had all the ships on it? I didn't even look.
We went through those ships.
Okay, yeah. This is the.
Yeah. No,
This
well,
is the
no,
patch
no,
that
we
literally
didn't. No,
We
everyone-
did. We went through the Reliant.
Well, we went through them,
Subdomingo.
but then the
We
Carrick,
said
folks.
them.
This
Guys,
is the Carrick.
the
Carrick.
Carrick, the
is the
890
Carrick.
jump and the Banu Merchantman are literally the ships people ask about
The
every
most.
single day.
These are some large ships as well.
Very large.
Actually, and it's important to note, going back, 3.2 includes 2 constellations, 2 vanguards, the Terrapin, the Reclaimer. 3.1
Reclaimer's real
includes the Misk Hull C, and
Get some big ships.
it's like every single one of these patches has some large patches, has some large ships. I mean,
Patch it in.
the Reclaimer might
patchy.
aside from things like the Idris, the Reclaimer might be one of the largest by volume ships, period.
Yeah.
Yep.
The Reclaimer is huge.
It's gigantic. It's actually very menacing when you see it in
When
its
you
art.
see it approaching your little tiny ship and you're out of power and it's about to reclaim you, moving on.
Garbage woman.
What?
Go read Garbage Woman if you haven't read it.
It's not on INN. Oh, it is. 4.0. Jump points.
Wasn't that the first one?
Yeah. Garbage Woman was the first piece of
Then why
fiction
are you
on
saying
INN.
it's not on INN?
Because I'm joking, because I wrote it and I'm trying to be.
So
an
4.0 is
Something.
jump points.
Yeah. 4.0. Jump points.
literally
jump
points.
Literally travel to multiple star systems.
Literally.
Literally.
I would like to point out, folks, that 4.0, the 0.0 patches are always the end of the year. 1.0 was 2013. 2.0 was 2014. Nope, sorry, wrong years. 1.0 was 2014, 2.0 2015, 3.0 will be 2016, 4.0 2017. So 4.0 jump points will come at the end of 2017, probably December, probably the live stream, and they're back.
Are we? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's going to be more stuff with.
They didn't say how many star systems
No.
that we're going to be able to travel
Multiple.
to. It
Multiple.
will be more than one, but we don't know how many.
Multiple is
Actually, I believe in the presentation, Chris literally said
Literally.
they're.
literally.
Everything's literal. Chris said that he wasn't going to put a number on the star systems because they'd shoot him.
With guns.
Yeah, and it's going to depend on how many star systems they can make. As many as they can make, they're going to put in.
Yep. I'm gonna go with. I think they're
47.
I think they're gonna get in the original. I'm gonna be the person that Chris can't be here because I'm a jerk.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with 5. They originally planned to have
That's
5. They had 5 that were their original systems they wanted to have. I think they'll pull it off. Now, I'm gonna be watching this in a year and I'm gonna be like,
Always be optimistic.
but I think they'll get to 5.
That's not that. That's
Especially
middle
since-
of the
It's
road.
with procedural planets. I mean, they made that
That's pretty middle of the
5
road,
guess
that's what I said.
before procedural
Yeah,
planets.
it was before procedural.
So we could actually see 47.
No, but we
what?
might be more than 5. It might also be 2.
More than 5, 47, same
Is a
thing.
good guess.
I think 5's pretty
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
With
Now here's actually I'm gonna challenge my co-hosts here. What were the
no.
original 5 systems?
oh no,
Man, I
This
looked
is-
at that Kickstarter and was like, nope, Kickstarter. And then I came back 2 years later, so I'm not the person.
That was
that-
actually fair. I was actually more recent than that when they announced them.
Oh, well, I backed in November of 2014.
I get confused about
Was
the
it
star
before
system
that?
we're in now.
Around then. So the systems that I
Stanton.
remember,
This is why we have him, by the way.
I remember are are Stanton
Yep.
and Nyx
Yep.
and
Tara,
Terra
I
and
remember that.
one starts with an M. I can't remember right now. I'm gonna kick myself for.
Microtech?
No, that's a planet,
That's a planet.
not a system.
It's in Stanton, right?
Shame on you.
Yeah.
Man, we're getting
Canadian
comments
Sheriff,
from the
you're
peanut
fired.
gallery, and they're wrong. Canadian Serious has been fired.
It's
We're gonna
been a
need
really
new
long time
transcript
since we
stream.
got this. It's been a really
Eat
long
your
time since we
Pringles.
had this information. But there were 5 systems originally, and I can't remember. I think Sherman was one of them too.
It's been a long time.
But yeah, there were 5 originally that they planned, and the idea was that each one would have a different tile set.
Yeah.
So each one would have a different architectural style. So Terra would have the Terran style. Stanton is very industrial, and then Nyx is very not Nyx. Sorry, Nyx. Nyx is very is very.
It's a whole star
outlaw.
system now.
That's right. It's very outlaw.
Man, you gotta hit the bike, man.
Oh.
Wait, you're an entire star system. That's a lot of mass, Nick.
Okay. Anyway, I've talked way too much. Let's go into exploration and discovery, which is the second bullet point.
So the next point.
Like I saw you like a week ago. What happened?
The next point on
you
this
don't do
slide.
that.
I know I don't. I'm sorry. I apologize because I'm Canadian. The next point on this is exploration and discovery. We are hoping, we have no idea, but we are going to hope and we're going to continue hoping and we're going to say, hey, CIG,
Hey,
if you want to do some jump points right, make it so that we don't know where they are and we have to explore and discover the jump points.
I yelled this at Ben at some point. I was just like, "Yo, you watch the podcast, you know." I say this every time I'm on the podcast.
So do I. I constantly parrot the
Yes.
exact same thing.
Jump points.
I'm neutral.
Just throw the jump points in. Don't
Let us
tell
find 'em.
anybody.
Yeah.
Don't tell anybody. Don't even patch it. Make it like scroll up for me.
3.4, 3.3,
No.
3.3.
Okay. 3.3.1 or something. Just do that and be like,
Shove it
man,
in
this
there.
is huge. Why is this
Patch
why
so
is this
big.
patch so big? And then jump points
Activate them in
it.
4.0.
No, but just lie about the version number.
Ooh, that's good.
Ooh, that'd be really good.
That would be really good.
And then just like be like, hey, this guy found it. Just kidding. 4.0. This guy's getting a bunch of UEC because he found it.
But yeah, that's and the funny thing is while he was yelling it at Ben, I was pointing at him Like this. Like, listen to this guy. This is the guy. Yeah, he knows what he's talking
Yeah.
about. Yeah. Next point is science and research.
Ooh.
I have taken David's job, and he's angry at me.
I only have one purpose in life, and it's to read out the things
Hey.
on these slides. And every time you read something for me, I lose a little bit about myself. You know, I'm forgetting my second birthday right now.
Hey, do you know what comes after that? Additional solar system locations.
Okay. All right. So
Well,
science and research is pretty interesting
I've-
because
I find it really interesting because we don't have the Endeavor yet, and the Endeavor is all the way through we've been getting with mining, we've been getting the Prospector, with salvage, we've got the Reclaimer, with science and research, we're gonna have to use like the Carrick and the Reliant from earlier patches. We don't get the Endeavor, which is the science and research ship.
I think you might see some variants unveiled of
That's
other
called
ships.
some.
Yeah.
That's called some
Along
big,
the way.
it's-
And also,
it's a big ship.
I should
yo.
note. We should note that all the ships listed in here are just the ships that currently exist that they're building out.
Yeah.
Concept ships are not even on these slides. So there are other ships to be added as
And
well.
depending on how big or small they are, they might also be included in these lists in terms of when they're released.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, with this 4.0 patch, there will also be the RSI Orion and the Anvil Crucible.
The crab.
And now, we're moving on. That, surprisingly enough, was the second last of our CitizenCon slides. It's taken a while to get here.
That's a lot of slides.
A lot
Yep.
of slides.
And now, but the next one's going to take like an hour to talk
Oh
about.
man. The next one, we are going to be talking about this slide here, and then we're actually going to go through essentially our impressions of the Procedural Planets version 2 demo. So,
Yes.
this is the slide that talks about the tools and technology that they use to create this Procedural Planets version 2 demo. And the first bullet point on this slide is a completely new terrain system for Star Citizen.
Yes.
I'm going to talk about it now since it's a bullet point, but in the demo, looking at the terrain textures, just
Way better.
the difference between August and now is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yep.
Ridiculous.
And it's important to note, and I'm pretty sure Chris said this during the presentation, but back in August, they didn't have any of the stuff that we saw today. This was all
Yeah.
created between August.
Well, they had some. They knew that V2 is coming pretty fast. They had an
They had the
early
tech-
version,
Yeah,
but they did not have that.
they didn't have it. This has been created in a month
3
and a bit.
months. Yeah.
And like that's the thing, like that Procedural Planets V1 demo, the terrain basically looked like just the geometry.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It was
And-
still impressive, but it was,
and at the same time, it was a moon,
yeah.
so it was kind of appropriate, but at the same time,
The resolutions for the textures were pretty poor, though.
it was bad.
It was very basic,
But
let's be honest.
still impressive, but basic.
Yep.
Very much a work in progress demo. This just
Not.
that looked like real life, man.
It looked really good.
Yeah.
We're going to talk more about what we thought about how it looked when we talk about the actual
Yes.
demo.
I wanted
but
to put that in there just because.
Yeah.
Bullet point number 2.
bullet
terrain
point. The
system.
second bullet point here is that it now seamlessly supports spherical terrain at a planetary scale. Now, this is a big deal because most games, no matter how big they are, 4 by 4 kilometers, 16 by 16 kilometers, whatever,
They're flat.
they're flat. It's a square. It's a flat square. As soon as you have to support a spherical playing area, gravity completely changes. Wind change. Everything changes. And the fact that they now seamlessly support spherical terrain for an entire planet, that's
It also means that your most significant aspect of spherical terrain is that the horizon line is no longer the edge of the map. It is the edge of as far as you can see
Yeah.
on the planet, because it's curved, just like the Earth is. This is pretty cool because, as Sean Tracy recently talked about, games have lied to us for pretty much our whole life. It's all skyboxes and fakery. Star
Fakery.
Citizen
And
Fakery.
we're gonna talk a little bit
Fakery.
about
Star Citizen
that
does away with that.
exactly soon.
Yes.
And it's some of the stuff that comes later is exactly touching on that, and it's amazing.
Okay. Runtime generation.
Runtime generation. It generates at runtime.
Yep. Basically, things are generated on the fly. That's what your runtime generation means.
It's just good. It's not pre-generated. It's just better. I don't know how to explain it.
Okay, next point.
Watch
Yeah.
it.
Unrestricted view
Yeah.
distance.
Sean Tracy explains it.
Yeah. Watch any of the interviews with Sean Tracy, or honestly, go check out some of the Gamers Nexus. They've been doing a fantastic number of articles
Wonderful.
with Chris Roberts, with
Tracy.
Sean Tracy. Their articles right now, they are knocking out of the park. I cannot express how
9 thumbs up.
yeah,
I'm
basically.
sad we didn't get to bump into them.
I'm really sad we didn't get to bump into them as well. They are doing a phenomenal
How they managed
job.
to get in and out of here without us seeing them is a
I
bit of a
don't
mystery.
know. We saw everyone. Anyway, we're moving on to unrestricted view distance, which is impressive as hell.
Yeah. I want to put a caveat here because Chris Roberts actually mentioned recently there is a restriction, but it's phenomenally large. It says unrestricted because it's not really.
It's
I think
further than the naked eye.
Yeah, it's not really a restriction. I think that's why they put it that way.
Yeah.
There is an edge, but it's very far, on the orders of thousands and thousands, and even I think hundreds of thousands of kilometers.
Yeah.
No human can see that far.
Yeah. The next point is one we've actually talked about way before. It's artist-driven and procedurally enhanced ecosystems. So not only, like, everything is procedurally generated and then artist-enhanced.
Yep.
Important.
It's the halfway point between a game like No Man's Sky and a game like
Duh.
Uncharted.
Sorry, something's sitting wrong in my stomach right
It's
now.
okay.
I apologize.
Okay, fine. A game like Minecraft and a game like... You like Minecraft.
That's going far.
Okay.
Moving on.
Continuing right along.
Okay.
Moving on.
You know what I mean. They know what I mean.
They know what you mean. They know what I mean too. Handcrafted missions supplemented by algorithmic content. This is something we've known about for a long time. There are going to be handcrafted missions like the one we saw at the Gamescom demo, which is specifically generated a specific mission with voice acting and just more detail. And there will also be the algorithmically generated missions, which are Terra is running out of iron. Someone better bring Terra some iron.
I think it's going to be a lot of stuff like the missions we have right now in in Crusader.
Yeah.
Things like that, I think, will definitely algorithmically generate. That's the word.
Yep.
All right. And then they showed us some pretty colors and lights.
Oh man, were they ever pretty. We're going to start talking about the actual
Homestead
presentation, the Homestead demo, and what we saw on screen for the Homestead demo. And we've watched the entire demo before we started this podcast. We wrote up a whole bunch of points on what we thought about it, and we're basically going to go through all these points and talk about the demo, really, because honestly, I know it was one of the only things we really saw in action at CitizenCon, but it was still incredibly impressive, and we want to talk about it. So we're going to start with Mr. Jake here, who's going to talk about Do you wanna?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Take it out.
Take us away, Jake.
All right. So the demonstration starts off with a beautiful shot of a planet called Lear 3. That's where the demo takes place. It's in the Lear system. Third planet in that Lear system. That's why they call it Lear 3.
That's right.
Yeah.
This will be an actual planet.
yes.
In the
As
game.
opposed to Lear 42, which I don't think there's 42 planets in that system.
No.
No.
Just
So
Never.
the first thing we
it's-
saw on our way down.
Yeah, it's a real planet, so we are eventually going to go there.
Now, I do want to mention that before we saw any of this, we did kind of think that we might see a planet that showed, 5, 6, 7 biomes. One that they had created specifically for the event to show off
demo
multiple
planet.
things, a demo planet, if you were. But they,
If you will.
but they didn't do a demo planet. They actually showed us an actual planet, so it's not like they've lost any work creating some random demo planet. They're using something that's going to be in the game eventually anyway, which I think is great.
And then we remembered that ever since probably ArcCorp demos, everything they've shown us with persistent universe type stuff, we've gotten.
Yeah.
It's all real.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's all real
They
stuff.
don't tend to show us stuff. CIG don't tend to show us stuff
They turn
that
out
we
to
don't.
waste work.
Yeah, it's a waste of work to show us stuff that we won't get. So now, as we opened on this Lear 3, the third planet in the system, and you can kind of see 2 other planets and then the sun in the background, we start going in really, really quickly towards the planet's surface. And one of the first things that we all noticed, honestly, were the clouds. The clouds and the weather, to an extent, they're great.
Yeah, they're really good so far. Obviously, first implementation, there's ways to go, but for first implementation, I was really blown away with how good they have gotten it. One of the things I was really impressed with was that they have managed to figure out very quickly low-lying fog.
Yep.
In addition to high up clouds. And not only that, but that the low-lying fog is in the right places. It's in low-lying areas, it's near water sources, it's in valleys. It's good.
It's where it should be.
Yes.
And that's really important, especially, I mean, we talk a lot with Star Citizen about immersion, and these are the kinds of things, and honestly, this is not something I ever really thought about until I saw this demo, really, but yeah, I mean, areas get foggy. Why don't we see, you never see it to this extent, to this, and it was patchy, it's all over the place, but that's as it should be. I thought it was excellent implementation, to be honest. And another thing I thought had some excellent implementation in the demo was snow. I mean, the snow seemed to really follow the kind of the crevasses, not really valleys, but like the little tiny niches in
The
mountain.
topography.
The topography, yeah,
That's
it's
what
just.
you're looking for.
Thank you. The snow. Thank you for my words. The snow really just it. I mean, let's be quite frank here. Myself and Nakar are Canadians. We know quite a bit about snow.
Hey, now I'm from Boston. We know snow.
Okay.
A bit, but
So the three of us, we know snow.
we know snow.
We got 3 feet last
we got-
year
3 feet. That's it.
in one storm.
Okay, so moving right along, since we promised other people that we would
snow
keep this
looks
short.
good. Let's move on. Not only the snow looks good, the fog looks good, the clouds look good. One of the first things we saw that didn't look good were honestly the pop in on trees. As we fly through and over the planet.
There's some LEDs on terrain as well.
There's some LEDs on terrain. There's a lot of pop in on the trees,
popping out.
but
Yeah, we had talked with several of the devs
Yep.
at CitizenCon, and they basically told us the reason for that is that those camera movements are going really, really, really fast, and because of that, like it has to load them in really fast. That's why we get the pop in.
and it's not just that they're going really fast; it's that they're going faster than we'll ever
Exactly.
move in a ship.
So when we're actually flying in a ship over the surface of a planet, we're not going to see those
Pop-ins?
See that amount of pop in on the trees
I'm
and
tired.
on the geometry.
That's
Give up.
I'm tired.
Basically, what we wanted
Guys.
to say here is that what we saw in the demo is, first of all, not as likely to happen if you're in a ship. Second of all, they're going to get better at it.
Yep.
That's what I was. They were gonna get better at it. I wanted to. Yeah.
Well, we got it for you.
We got
Don't
it.
worry.
It's 1 a.m., guys.
we have been doing this for like 3 hours. It's crazy. One of the next things we saw. Why am I so full of energy? I don't know. One of the first.
Yeah, what is happening right now?
One of the next things we saw that I thought was really impressive was
In the background, we have a pillow fight
going on right now, which is amazing.
Okay.
There's a pillow fight.
There's an Everest mountain, like just this one peak that just stands out so distinctly. And I mean, I know they did it kind of as a joke for CitizenCon, but as you fly past it, there's a guy there. He goes, "Hello, CitizenCon," or whatever he says. And
But it shows the scale of those mountains and the terrain that you were flying over so fast.
And so does if you spend a lot of time and actually look at what we're flying over, you can see the clouds. They're not up at the top of that mountain. They're around around the middle of it. Yeah. And I think it's important to note that, I mean, earlier in this podcast, we talked a lot about artists helping out the procedural generation. This kind of mountain is not something that would be procedurally generated, not likely. This is probably something that an artist went in there and said, this mountain right here, we're going to build it up.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is not something you'll see in a lot of other procedurally generated games.
It's being tucked in right now.
As Dovak is tucking Vince into bed, which is slightly awkward.
Yeah.
And so our next point is something I would like to touch on. So
this is actually something that that Sunjammer, who was here earlier, noted, but he's gone now.
Going to talk about this.
Okay, sorry. Go ahead, Nakar.
David.
I apologize.
Jeez.
Thinks he can tell us what to do.
There's a couple things here I wanted to talk about. One of them is procedural lens flare, something they've put into the game recently. It's actually already in there, but you do see it in the 3.0 demo. It looks nice, soft. It's not distracting. In fact, a couple guys didn't even really recognize it as much.
Yeah.
But it looks really great. Definitely not Star Trek-like lens flare. It's not in your face. The other
Star
thing,
Wars-like.
Yeah, very Star Wars-like. The other thing I wanted to mention is that it also ties back around into the other thing that looked really good was the lighting, the sun coming through the trees. It looked fantastic while we were coming through the forest.
And this is actually one thing that we're going to touch on a few times as we discuss this. The lighting looks great coming through the trees. It looks good coming through lots of things. There's something going on in the background. I don't even know.
In this demo, there were clouds in the valley.
Well, this is another thing we noticed. And Vince is going to come and fix the camera now because Jake broke it. But we know, like we've actually talked about this earlier. There's not just fog where it should be, but clouds in the valleys as well. I mean, it looks like a real bloody planet.
Vince, that's staying in.
Well, no, it's not.
It is.
Vince, that's staying in. Anyway.
The other thing we noticed...
If you keep making references to it, he can't cut it out.
The other thing we noticed a lot throughout this entire demo is, I mean, they start flying over and they're flying over deserts, they're flying over snow terrain, they're flying over mountains, they're flying over oceans. The blending of those terrains, one into another, and into other, is...
These aren't Minecraft biomes.
No. This doesn't have, like... snow on one block and desert on the next.
It was one of those things where we were like, oh, like it took us a few seconds to realize, like, oh, we're in a different biome right now.
Yeah.
And
this is also something that they were working really hard to get done for this demo, and I just wanted to give them props on it because it was almost unnoticeable.
Yeah.
They did a really, really good job.
Yeah. And we're going to talk a bit more about the blending later because there's some specific points that I specifically want to call out as being amazing blending. But the next thing we noticed was the Connie breaks, you know, the camera kind of pans up and
there's a
focuses on hey, there's a Connie. And this is one of the first times we've seen a ship in Atmo, and the trails behind it look the chemtrails. Shut it with your chemtrails.
This is the first time one of the first times we've seen the constellation Aquila in atmosphere. We've seen other ships in atmosphere.
But like the trails behind it looked really, really good. Like it looked cool. Honestly, I thought.
Cool.
We did also notice that, and this is something we've seen in other demos before as well. but I think is still important to note as a difference between in-atmo and in-space flight. In Atmo, you have both an altitude meter and a max safe speed.
This is an altimeter.
Altimeter.
Altitude meter.
Okay, moving right along.
So this is the point where the demo hits the unsafe air area.
Yeah.
Where
There's like
the
an
message
alert on the
comes up
screen.
and an alert and everything, and
one thing we wanted to talk about was that
this
when
is
this
coming.
is something that has been clarified.
Well, this is coming from, like, if you pay really close attention to what the words Chris uses during the presentation.
And this has been reinforced.
Yeah, we got this further clarified.
This was
from devs.
further reinforced.
Yep.
That warning is to encourage the player not to fly into that area. It will not force you not to land there. The consequences are your own.
Yep.
You take
You
your
are-
own life into your hands
You're
if you're
able
going
to
in
make
there.
the choice, and like, I guess this was a little bit of theory crafting that we had, but
Yeah.
it was like maybe like if you have a really large ship, that just the wind shear would rip it apart. But if you have a really small maneuverable ship
Yeah.
that is built for things like that, or maybe even something like a terrapin,
Or maybe if you're
maybe,
just willing to sustain some damage to your ship.
yeah,
Or maybe if you've got specific thrusters that are better in Atmo than they are in
Exactly.
space. Who
Like,
knows? There's
whatever might allow
Yeah.
you to survive that. Then
and we also, I mean, the Connie doesn't exactly have wings or anything,
No.
right? It's not a very aerodynamic
no,
shape. So maybe if you have something more like a Saber or something,
an
that-
M50,
who knows? But
something
there's
that looks like a plane.
there's a lot of gameplay behind there that we just don't know about yet, but it's really exciting to see. This is another point where we noticed more artifacting problems in the demo, though. There's and this happens throughout the demo. There's a lot of artifacting, a lot of pop in.
Also, as we like to call it, jank.
Yeah, there was a lot of jank in the demo. But hey, it's an early demo.
Yep. This is not to criticize.
No.
It was something just to note.
And
It was totally expected, but we
say
did notice
this-
it.
We say this all the time, but like devs are really self-conscious about that stuff, and I like having like I used to write music a lot, and I know that feeling of like it will never be perfect.
Yep.
And you want it to be, and there's a point where you just be like, okay, here, this is it.
It's
And-
perfect enough.
And
We have to go live
you're still
today.
like,
We're going live today with what we got.
yeah, but you're still like, I see all these mistakes, I
Yeah.
see all these things, but especially with video games,
They're so
when we see those flaws, it reinforces to us that it's a real demo that you're showing
Yeah.
us right now, and because we
You
don't,
don't-
you don't get
you don't
that.
see any flaws in the original Watch Dogs demo. I wonder why.
I wonder why.
Weird. Now, one of the things that that they kind of touched on, that Chris kind of touched on in this demo, when the Connie lands and the pilot steps out of the seat and walks back into the ship, is the idea of not being able to wear your medium armor while you're
heavy
flying,
armor.
or heavy armor while you're flying. And I mean, the pilot's wearing like a flight suit, and then he walks back and changes into some armor, and that's just. And I know they've talked about this before, but it's something that we kind of don't have right now.
It's just a good game mechanic.
It's a good game mechanic.
And it's also what makes things like troop transports
Useful, yeah.
Useful.
Yeah.
Now this is another thing that we noticed all the way throughout the demo, but it really, like when you walk out of that Connie, when the player walks out of the Connie into that little tiny space there, the shadows are beautiful, and not just the shadows, but the cloth on the flags that are flapping. This is the first time that we've really seen cloth in Star Citizen, and
Well, we our first glimpse of it was that just random and ridiculously awesome Starfarer crash demo.
yeah,
There was some cloth in there.
We saw some. We saw a little bit. It's not moving very much, but there's some that is in the Levski.
yeah,
Area.
yeah.
There's,
But like,
there's,
this is the
banners and
first
stuff.
like this is cloth
Like
being
wind-
affected by the
yeah,
wind,
wind is
in
blowing.
game, in action. This is the first time we've really seen. I mean, the
So certainly the first time we've seen it a lot.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, but it looked good, and
really good.
And let's be honest, cloth is something that a lot of games have struggled to get right and to get looking good, and it only looks better once it's in
And it's
actual-
only been the past couple of years that games have been able to do it
yeah.
at all. It's
Yeah.
graphically expensive.
One thing I kept noticing, I've noticed this both during the CitizenCon demo itself and during our rewatch, the Ursa, when the character steps towards the driver panel on the Ursa, like the Ursa comes out of the Connie, gets in, steps to the driver panel, the entire panel folds away. He sits down and it folds back. I thought that entire animation was
It's
just
nice.
was just beautiful.
I love that animation every time I see it.
I,
And
s- yeah,
it's
we
I don't
saw
think
it-
I'll ever get tired of seeing that
Yeah,
animation.
we saw it at Gamescom. But
Yeah.
it was really nice to see
It's
it
just
again.
the attention to detail there
Yeah.
of you don't just slide into your seat.
Oh.
It
Real quick, something that I don't think we've put in these notes, but attention to detail on small things on vehicles. The landing gear on
Yes.
the Constellation, it's so good. It's got like the shock absorber, so you like see the ship land, and once it lands, you see the shocks on the landing gear absorb the
Yep.
weight of the whole ship, and then it settles back.
Very nice.
Yeah.
More of that,
nice.
please.
And yeah.
and another thing we noticed once you get into the Ursa, and this is especially evident when they switch to the right beside the wheel camera.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The
Absolutely.
ground close in, and that's the closest view we get of the actual ground as they're driving away.
Oh yeah. By the way, they lowered the Ursa from the
Yeah.
cargo bay and then drive.
Yeah. But as they drive away, that camera right beside the wheel, that's the closest we've really seen to the ground as they're driving along. And I mean, lots of games, it looks good if you're standing away, but if you like crouch or prone down to it, the actual ground, not the grass and stuff on top of it, but the ground itself looks kind of flat. This honestly, it didn't look flat. It looked like there were little tiny pebbles and stuff around, and I
Yeah.
thought it was
There were some graphical artifacts
Yeah.
like, going around the tires, which means eventually we're gonna see particle effects of
Yeah.
dust being wrapped around the tires
Yeah.
as they're spinning.
yeah.
Yeah.
But
That's nice.
he was just about to say it, but I'm going to say it. Huge improvement on the ground textures from V1 to V2 for procedural planet stuff.
Yeah. Like-
And
Like we were talking about
it was my biggest complaint about V1.
We
Yeah.
were talking about it the first time we were talking about this, but it might have been the fact that the location we saw in the first place was a moon,
Yep.
but they obviously are probably going to improve on that
Yeah.
again, but it was very basic. It was almost literally the geometry
Yeah.
of the terrain.
This time is a lot more.
This looks like Earth.
Yeah. And it's important to note that when they did V1 was all they had. And they've built V2 since that Gamescom demo. They've built most of what you saw in V2.
Most of it. They said at Gamescom that they had a V2, but it just wasn't ready.
wasn't
to
ready.
show.
But like
A lot of this has been built since then.
it's been most of what we saw today has been built since Gamescom, that's an incredible turnaround, to be honest. The next thing we noticed was that, and this is not a great thing, but the Ursa suspension on the wheels was bad. The wheels just,
But that's also because this is
it hasn't been done.
Yeah, it's the default suspension
Yeah.
that's in CryEngine.
And we did also notice that it was a little bit better already from what it was in the
Yes.
Gamescom
Yes.
demo. But it's not even that it looks bad. It just doesn't look right. Doesn't look right.
Yeah.
It needs a little bit. I think the suspension needs to be a little stiffer, honestly.
Oh yeah. Now, one of the things that we noted here, but then kind of changes later, is as the stuff that we saw in the demo, the stuff that they flew over, that they drove over, etc. The terrain didn't really look repetitive. It wasn't repeating all that often. I mean, everything looked, even the ground itself wasn't really repeating that often. It didn't really repeat until we get way later when they're in engine, and I'm not sure if
And
that's
that was in the editor too.
yeah, I'm
and
not sure if that's an editor thing or not, but
I
it
think so because the part where it zoomed in on that was freshly made mountains.
yeah.
I
So-
think you're probably the whole part of involving artists in the procedural generation is to get that out.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't think you'll see that in any finished worlds.
Yeah, same. Now we did as they fly over again. One of the things we've been talking about a lot is the weather effects and the clouds, and
We're gonna
and you
keep
can
talking about it.
we can't
It
help but
looks
talk about it
good.
because it looks the best I've ever seen in pretty much any game. And in the distance, you can see little small sandstorms. You can say there's a point where there's some haze in the bottom of the valley, and you can see little tiny cacti things poking out of it. Beautiful. Just looked
Fantastic.
like yeah,
Yep.
just amazing. On the other hand, interior clipping in the Ursa, there was that little moment where he gets out of the seat and kind of clips through the wall.
You can't get out.
Can't get out.
Very, very apparent the Ursa is not done yet.
Yeah, I mean,
But that's one of the last things they do is make sure all the collision is right.
Yeah.
So
It's in the game, but it's still clipping. Honestly, I gotta tell you guys, it's a big secret. It's a big secret about Star Citizen. It's an alpha.
what?
And
Hold on.
I hate to tell you, but there are other ships that have clipping problems.
yeah.
Really? No. Really?
Who are you talking
I
to?
don't exist, dude.
I
He's
don't know what
talking to the
about.
air.
Hey, at the
You
very
reference
least,
the Invisible Man again. I'm pushing the camera over.
All right.
at the very
Um,
least, the Ursa looked more done than the Mustang Beta. I'm sorry, the Bang Stang.
Bang stang, yes.
The,
Bang Stang.
Another point to come up here pretty quickly is the Ursa stops at an old derelict Cutlass, very old.
Looks great.
Looks very, very nice. We all wish that they had spent more time looking around that thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
It
A lot of-
literally was against my entire gaming life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Not looking
I-
at more.
I have
I
to.
know.
I
Go
have to
inside.
look at
What is in it?
everything.
What is in it? But one thing I really thought that I noticed was that derelict looks a lot different from the derelict javelin that we see later in the demo.
Yep.
Like the
Oh,
derelict
yeah, there's a derelict javelin.
javelin. But like the derelict javelin
Spoilers.
has like you can still see the copperish on it, and like
It
there's the
wasn't.
different color.
It was a different state of decay.
Yeah, and but just the fact that there's different states of decay on these ships,
Yep.
Yep. Yep.
man.
It's not. There's
Oh.
like years of decay difference.
Now this is something we noticed when we paused the video. They walk up to.
It
I'm,
was like,
I'm going to let you
what is it?
do
what
the
is it
actual number,
called?
but
What are those called?
commemorative plaques.
They're in ships always. What are they?
I don't know.
Do they have a name?
the plaque?
Yeah,
Not that I know of, other than a plaque.
they walk up.
Like the Enterprise has one.
Yeah.
They walked up to like this plaque that's
It's embedded in the
embedded
desert.
in the desert, and it's kind of interesting because
Well, we actually paused the video here and we read the plaque. It is pretty interesting. The javelin was that javelin was commissioned 156 years before current time in the demo. We knew ships in Star Citizen had a long life, but this is again reinforcing it, especially in more recent gameplay.
Kind of reminds me of like a Battlestar.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we knew like the Bengal and stuff had been around forever, but
Hundreds and hundreds of years.
hundreds of years.
Yeah.
But like reinforcing that the javelin is as well, and probably like Idris, like most of these ships have been around.
Yeah, and just
It's expensive to build things that big.
exactly, and these ships are. It also actually, I mean, I'm going to take a very slight aside here. I don't want to take too long, but it also plays right down into the narrative of the game, where this is an empire that is starting to crumble. It's very old. A lot of its ship designs are extremely old. I think the Bengal ship design is something like 800 years old. or not 800. Sorry, I think 500 years old.
Yeah.
And
Plug.
We need a plug.
Laptop's about to die. Yeah.
One of the things we thought was pretty cool in this is thank you, Vince. One of the things we thought was pretty cool.
Shout out to Vince for setting up the camera, the laptop,
The
all the
mics.
audio, the mics,
All while
everything,
trying to sleep.
basically. Yeah, while he's trying to sleep, and we're not letting him.
So one of the things we learned from Sean Tracy is that the sky is blue in the game for the same reason the sky is blue on the Earth.
And this
Absurd.
is one of my absolute favorite things that we learned in this entire thing. This is just unreal.
So the reason that the sky is blue on this planet is because which wavelengths of light are being absorbed by the atmosphere of that planet. You'll also notice later in the demo they skip to a different planet and its atmosphere is a different color. I also wanted to mention that it's likely this will cause the atmospheres of planets that are around different colored stars to also appear different.
Yeah. And not only that, but when, like, as the camera was zooming backwards around the curvature of the Earth, the sun set and we got a sunset.
Yeah.
You mean Leia 3?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever.
No, it's.
You know
I
what
mean, and this is something
I
that's,
may be
that's-
harassing Jake.
Aren't we? This is. I can't believe that they've gone to this amount of detail. It's like, and they've talked about this before, that all the planets and all the atmospheres and all the sunsets and everything is real.
The nice
Well,
thing is they get a
that's-
lot of this for free.
Well,
Yes.
yeah, because they build these systems to be so robust that they're like, oh yeah, we're gonna have day-night cycles because we made the system for this atmospheric scattering and it
Yeah.
just works.
Yep.
And all they had to do was make the atmospheric scattering plus an actual sun plus planets that revolve and go around the sun,
Yep.
and all of a sudden you get this.
You get
comes out of
It's
it.
like, oh well,
Everything. You
guess
get
we have
everything.
day-night cycles now.
Yeah. One of the next things that honestly looked amazing were the let's call them as Chris said, the sand nomads,
Tuscan Raiders,
sand people, whatever you want to call them.
Invisible Man.
In lore, they're called the Outsiders.
The outsiders,
Ooh.
as they are called in lore, apparently according to Dolvac. They looked really really good.
Dolvek, maybe you should start a podcast about the lore.
Maybe you could call it Lorecast.
I will
Lorecast.
knock it over.
Okay, so
They looked great. The cloth on them was amazing.
Shout out to our boy Jeremiah
Jeremiah
Lee.
Lee,
You made it happen. I'm so happy.
Cloth.
we love you.
It's the clothiest.
It's the clothiest. Nothing's clothier.
So we see sand people, and then all of a sudden the Ursa explodes,
Yes,
and the tire goes flying.
which is beautiful.
It's amazing.
It's also problematic.
Yes.
It's slightly.
So he's
had
like,
worse.
all right, and then
It's just a scratch.
Flesh wound.
now here's the part where I was actually super impressed because I expected him to walk out of there with the old school sniper rifle that we have in the game right now and have some janky FPS like we're used to seeing. Nope. That is some Star Marine FPS mechanics.
That
at
looked
play.
that looked like a game I want to play.
Yeah.
Yes, it did. That FPS
It
looked
was
nice.
smooth and like
The
I don't
scope
have
looked.
words.
The scope looked incredible. I really.
We're
liked
going to
it.
talk about the
yeah,
scope
we're
in a
gonna
bit
talk about
too.
the scope.
The other thing that you notice during that little tiny combat segment is the music. The
Yeah.
music, and this is something we talked about earlier in those slides from 2 hours ago. Oh God, 2 hours ago. The
Continue.
change in the music is dynamic, and
Yep.
as soon as the Ursa is hit, the music changes and it speeds up and it's intense.
And
And then as soon as he kills off all those outsiders, the music settles.
now
Yep.
that's been done in games before
Many
but,
times.
But the difference being is that there's going to be different levels of intensity. Like you get a shot Like they were showing it. I'm gonna reiterate what happened in ATV just real quick. Like you get a shot across the bow of your ship, it's gonna pick up just a bit. You take some more fire, it's gonna pick up just a bit. You start firing back, it's gonna pick up a little bit more.
Yep.
And then you get a kill with your ship, and there's gonna be like some fanfare that flows naturally with the music,
And then fades out.
and then it'll keep going at that intensity until you eventually kill everything, and then it fades nice and smooth back down into the background music.
It's
it's
beautiful.
Fantastic.
And honestly, you have to build systems this way, especially for something as gigantic as Star Citizen.
Yes.
Because it doesn't matter how much music you record, if you don't have a good way of blending it together, you'll run out of music.
Yep. And again, this is a quick note: the cloth physics on the Outsiders, the Sand Nomads,
Fantastic.
amazing.
It's real good.
Now, in the demo, they kill off the Sand Nomads. They go and investigate the
Let's just
little.
call them the Outsiders.
The Outsiders.
That's what they are.
They kill off the Outsiders. They go and investigate the little tiny outpost or whatever
Building
it is,
thingy.
building thingy. And there's the cloth that again looks so good.
That is straight out of that derelict Starfarer demo
Yeah.
they
Yep.
did.
Yeah.
And then
there's a whipping
They
tarp.
and they jump on the Dragonfly, which looks good, and they start driving
The
across
black one for the first
the
time.
black one, yeah. And they start driving across completely new land that hasn't been shown in this demo.
By
'Cause
the
we
way,
were-
this was at one point where we're like, they just changed biomes on us.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like, we didn't even notice for a
honestly,
few moments.
go and watch the demo and try and notice where the biome switches because
where it ends.
we're in a desert.
Then you're not in a desert.
Then you're still in a desert, and then you're on the
Then it's
Dragonfly,
like a
and
savanna.
then oh wait, there's some trees, and
Yeah.
then there's lakes and little
There's
tiny
little bits of
safari,
grass.
like
Yeah.
like little tiny oasis things, and
Savannah.
and
is the
boom,
word.
Yeah,
there's
Savannah's a good word for
Savannah,
it.
yeah, and it's just there's no hitch, it's just you're
This is
right into it.
This is a personal note because I'm not sure everyone's excited about this, but the lakes looked really
Yes.
nice.
Yeah.
They had the vegetation around the lakes looked really natural, and the rock outcroppings. Great job.
Yep.
I mean, we're super early, and they already are doing a great job on environments.
Yeah. Speaking of super early, they check out the first like distress beacon thing, the second distress beacon thing, and the character kind of supposed to do a little hop down. That hop was
Is bad.
it was bad.
Yeah,
it was
didn't,
as we said.
there was some
jank.
jank.
There was some jank.
Yeah.
That hop was.
We're
I
not
think-
sure what happened with that hop.
I think what happened is that he caught his helmet on the top
Yeah.
of the thing.
It didn't work
something.
very
And
well.
it didn't bounce correctly
Yeah.
in physics.
It was-
so
it was
kinda
not
hung
good.
there for a sec. It's like there was
Whatever.
there was a piece of the pod that like snagged on his helmet for
Yeah.
a sec.
Yeah.
He's just like,
Ow.
what do I do?
Yeah.
and then he's like, ugh, and
And then
falls
he's down. But
Yeah.
but then they do that. They get the next location, and then he takes the sniper rifle and he looks up in the sky and looks at the space station that they flew past when they first started. And
This is like a half an hour later, and we're just like, oh yeah, guess what? Here's the space station again.
And Chris
And
said
you could-
this, you can see the mechanics of the space station, like the rings were moving, but
From
the more
the ground.
yeah, the more noticeable things were the solar
panels, yeah.
moving.
You could see you could see the solar panels moving
Yeah.
and spinning. That was
and you
really
can see
cool.
it from the ground.
Yep.
it's insane.
Which
It's
means
gross,
the
y'all.
significance of this is that you can actually see what's happening at the station from the ground.
Yeah.
So let's say an Idris was visiting that station.
You'd see
You
it.
could see
You
it.
could see it from the ground. You could be like, oh shit, look at that.
Which kind of makes sense. I mean, you can kind of see the ISS from the ground if you look
With a
exactly where you're supposed to, right?
Yeah.
And it's small. It's small.
Yeah.
But it's just the amount of detail that's gone into this, and the distances you can see, and the thing. It's staggering.
Well, and also the scale is rolled in.
Yeah.
For Star Citizen
Mhm.
to make that stuff.
yeah.
Possible.
Yeah.
Now we did notice that there is a cruise option, like there's an SCM speed and a cruise speed on the Dragonfly for
In the HUD.
in the
we,
HUD.
We pretty much assumed that we can't use that on the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah, the cruise. We do. I believe we've seen the cruise option used on the Dragonfly in space.
Yeah.
And it's
Correct us if we're wrong.
Who knows?
If I remember correctly, it could go about 140 to 180 without it, and only about 300 with it.
Yeah.
So I don't think it goes super fast, but it is faster. We did also notice the top speed on the ground was 40 meters per second.
Yeah. Now here are two notes that we have that are a bit more jank. Really,
Guess what, folks? We got jank.
we got jank. So the lightning. There's a sandstorm in the background, and the sandstorm looks superb. The rolling sand. I don't know if it's volumetric or
It
not.
really
I
looks
can't tell.
volumetric.
looks
really
like it.
looked
Whether or
like
not
it.
it is or not.
Who
Yeah.
knows?
Yeah.
But then there's the lightning, and the lightning was really blocky, and
It was artifacting.
it was artifacting. It was not great. And
It looks
It
better
was
later.
the lighting on the lightning.
yeah, the lighting on the lightning is just not
What if
terribly
you
interesting.
flew an F8 Lightning through the lightning on the lighting? Wait, the lighting on the light. Anyway.
Oh,
The
no.
pellet was anyway.
Okay.
The other thing I noticed, and this is something that I really hope that they do fix. I know that, I mean, it's probably pretty hard with completely procedurally generated
It can be done.
planets. I know it can be done, but there were no footsteps in the sand.
That's just a texture.
I know it needs to be done though. You need to have that presence. You need to know that. I mean, yes, you can look down at your feet, but you need to know.
Also, like if someone's hiding behind a rock, you can see that he's walking in the sand.
You need to have that.
There are gameplay
presence.
implications, and
Yeah.
plain and simple modern games have footsteps in soft
CIG.
services.
Footsteps.
You need to have
Footsteps in the sand.
and in snow.
And things that footsteps can be made in. We
Like
would like
grass and rock if you're really heavy.
That's
really
really
goddamn
heavy.
heavy.
Now, another thing we noticed that was kind of cool is when you start up the dragonfly, the sand does actually kick up around
Yeah,
it.
all
Yes.
around you in the big cloud. It's really
Beautiful. And we just have to mention again, and we've seen this throughout the demo at this point, the inner thought system is, I can't wait.
Yeah, we like the inner thought system.
Yeah.
Really
I know
like
there are
it.
people who don't like it, but you're wrong.
Well, I don't really care who else likes it. I really like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
This is something
Also,
I
the
noticed.
font is way better.
Yes.
Oh my god, the old font, not okay.
Yep. This is something that I noticed that I particularly found interesting because I'm normally a sniper.
cool.
There appear to be two different levels of zoom, at least, on the sniper rifle that they use. Now, when they're about to shoot the first outsider, they zoom in at one level, and you can see the scope, and around the scope, you can still see the level around the scope, and then they zoom in more so the scope fills the entire screen, and then they take the shot. But it's like there's two distinct levels of zoom there, and I really want to know how that happened.
Not only that, but the full screen zoom looks great.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Looked really nice.
Yep. I also thought it was really interesting that the corpse of the dead outsider rolled all the way down the little wing of the javelin.
Physics,
which-
yo.
Physics, yo.
Physics, yo. Speaking of physics, we're kind of lacking some because
Anti-physics. So he kind of just rolled on up the side of this javelin like it was nothing, and maybe mag boots, maybe, but I don't know. That was
especially later when he like jumps onto the really angled part.
It's
I want to see what's going on there.
So then I can't believe we don't have a note about this, but then we just walk up and stab a guy in the neck.
Yeah.
Come on, man. That's so passe.
Oh, that
And
was
then-
real nice.
And right after our character is done jabbing a guy in the neck with a knife, well, ridiculously gigantic fucking sandstorm rolls down upon us. So we run the hell inside.
Yeah. We did
Wait,
note-
we forgot the most important part of this whole demo.
No, we didn't.
Yeah, we did.
What was that?
So as we're approaching this derelict, we take that sniper rifle, we zoom in, and we see this like explosion in the ground.
How did we forget?
No, we talk about it later.
I know, but we
Well,
saw
we
it.
already went
So
past it. Yeah.
we talk about it later.
and then some kind of
Gigantic
Thing.
sandworm.
rolls on right by our
We
screen.
talk about it later.
Okay.
Anyway,
I'm just saying.
Okay.
Interesting thing
Okay.
about when the sandstorm rolls through, this is probably just because it's a really, really early implementation, but it doesn't really seem to affect the interior of the Javelin. There's no health degradation.
The visibility isn't bad inside the ship.
Inside the ship there's no visibility errors, and we know that there's no glass on there because you actually see these panels that the outsiders put on top of it to kind of shield it from the sun
Get ripped away.
get ripped away. What happens to those panels? There's a lot of questions there that
I
we
really
kind
hope those panels can fly away and hit a player.
that would be great. There's a lot of questions there that we kind of need. It seemed a bit like scripted and cinematic for the demo, but we need to know how much that's going to be.
So this is a personal theory of mine, but I actually think that they're having the reason the storm doesn't come into the ship, I think, is actually a side effect of the zone system. I think it's still present in that ship, and I think it isolates the bridge of the ship from outside.
Right, probably.
that'll do
And
it.
I think it
Yeah.
blocks. I think it blocks the weather from coming in. I think it's something they need to work on in the future. But
They'll get that.
right now, looked great, but little bit of
Yeah.
hey,
little
guess
bit-
what,
jank.
folks? Some jank.
Next thing, as they're walking through the hull, they walk over the weird like outsider walkway.
Oh wait,
Yep.
did we
Pathway?
talk about? I was reading
Oh.
things, but did we talk about the panels flying off?
Yes,
Yes,
we
No,
did.
this-
Yeah, we did.
Yep.
They walk through the outsider pathway, and then they jump onto the next little
Yep.
the angled back of the javelin.
Oh.
The god rays in there, the lighting that's coming through. Wow.
The other thing I wanted to mention here is before we found out recently that each particle is lit individually and separately from all other particles.
That's
Yeah.
gross.
And you can
It's-
you can
You guys
really
are
notice
wizards.
you can really notice it there. You can see the sand in the air from
Yeah.
the recent storm that went by. It looks gorgeous.
Excellently done. Go watch that little segment again because wow, seriously. Another thing that we noticed, and we're jumping ahead again, the worm that we just mentioned earlier jumps out as these outsiders.
This thing
are-
is huge.
One, it's huge. Two, the debris that comes out
Oh
when
my
it pops
God.
out.
So yeah. Oh well, there. Let's say okay. So there were these like a squadron of dragonflies coming at you, right?
Right at you.
And this worm just is like, nope, you don't get to shoot them. I want a snack.
Yep.
And he just comes right up on the ground, eats one, and then the rest of them crash into the side of the worm and just explode everywhere.
There's
and
bits and pieces of
Yeah.
dragonfly everywhere.
Everywhere.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And then he's like, "Oh, hey, there's one more snack," and he just is like, "Hey, what's up, bud?" And he's got one of those mouths. He's got like a 4-section mouth, right? And then he's got teeth like 6,000 rows of teeth.
Yep.
And I was talking with Ben, and I'm like, "That's a big worm. I bet I could fly an aurora down his throat." And Ben's like, "You know what? Probably."
That's basically the full demo of the Homestead
And then
demo.
they're like, "Oh yeah, in case you forgot, we're gonna zoom all the way back out into space."
Excellent.
And remind you so this game has some scale.
Yep. The next thing they jump to is actually something that I'm really, really glad that they included. Now, that was the stuff done by Chris. Now, Chris stepped off the stage at this point, and on came some of the devs to actually Sean Tracy.
That being
yes.
Sean Tracy,
Some of the devs.
some of the devs.
I don't know who was controlling it. I can't remember who.
No,
it wasn't Vin.
It wasn't
Vin.
Vin.
Who was controlling?
I don't
that
remember
part
who
of
was
it?
I
controlling.
don't remember.
Anyway,
Okay.
they stepped on.
Sean Tracy was explaining it.
Sean Tracy's explaining it. I can't remember who. I apologize. Was
But
controlling
hey,
it.
your space station gets into the final build. It's final, it's shippable. Don't let anybody tell you different. Especially Sean Tracy.
They jump
It
into
wasn't
the
a
editor.
it was a ground
It
Oh,
was
station.
a
yeah,
ground
ground
station.
station.
They
Not
jump
a space.
into the
I was very
editor.
confused there for a moment.
Yeah,
Jake.
sorry.
And they start basically building stuff out in the editor right in front of us. And right from when they start, and you see like the planet outside, the whole planet right outside Olisar, they clip out of Olisar, and the planet below is just
By the way, this piece of software they're using is called Spacebox.
Spacebox.
Yep. And
Which, come to find out, I like how you put my quote in here.
I did.
It's nice. They built Minecraft for themselves,
Yeah,
But better.
except a lot
but
better.
Star Citizen.
Yeah.
It's Minecraft
They
Star
built
Citizen.
Okay, like I like building things in Minecraft at large scales, and sometimes I need some terrain, and I have a mod that lets me like paint terrain in Minecraft. Like, oh, I want a mountain here. I want all
Yeah.
this here, and
They did that in CryEngine.
yeah.
Yeah.
And there's this cool little thing where you can be like, hey, I made this sphere, and then I want it to fall and land naturally on the ground to make it a mountain.
Yeah.
That's what I do.
So-
I turn it to sand, and it turns.
I would like to mention
Beautiful.
Minecraft is not CryEngine.
No.
No.
This is a whole other order of complexity.
Yeah.
So there's, but what I'm
yeah.
saying is they built those tools
Yes.
In
for
CryEngine.
CryEngine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The tools that they've got really are extremely powerful, and we're going to talk a bit about why that matters soon. But I want to mention that as they're moving around, you can watch them go through. You can watch them go through the engine, and you can watch as they really quickly rotate around the planet. The sun is changing dynamically, and the lighting and the sunset that it's throwing off is dynamic, and it's exceptional. And that the control that they have and the control this allows them to do, and as they paint mountain ranges, and as they paint deserts, and as they paint whatever essentially they want.
Yep.
They can do large, they're painting procedurally generated biomes.
Yep.
And they can paint giant biomes as they will, and then as they show us, they go into it in depth, and they can paint, we want a little tiny specific lake here.
Yep.
They can build it all up. The control that they have and the speed at which they build something completely unique and really good looking is...
John Tracy was like, look, we just made this little landing post thing in about 5 minutes.
I would also like to mention that each tool is scalable.
Yeah.
One thing it was really noticeable with the building they put down.
Yeah.
They put it down originally, and it was just a tower, and then you spun it around and expanded it out, and all of a sudden it had a landing pad and ladders and a ramp and
Yeah.
Yep.
just popped all out of their own cargo
Literally
containers. And
by dragging a thing upwards to increase the
things
scale.
appeared.
Yeah.
It really appears like the tools that they've got are excellent, and those tools are not only creating Squadron 42, they're creating Star Citizen, and the things that they're going to be able to do with those tools are...
And this is the thing. This is the important thing that people don't really realize when they're watching this demo, is that they're like, hey, we made this in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Which means everyone's saying, hey, you really think they could build out 100 star systems with hundreds of planets and thousands of locations and all these things?
Yes, good sir, I do.
Yeah. Very quickly and very efficiently.
Yeah.
That's why it took them so long to get us this content, is because they were building this insane tool.
And this is something that we've actually known for a bit of time now.
Yeah.
Back last year, when we saw Olisar, that was essentially nearing the end of the tool generation stage.
Yep, and they made that station in 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
That's what they've done with the... Yes, you know what? We're 4 years in. This is the fourth anniversary of Star Citizen. You know what? Those 4 years have been creating tools. Yep. You know what those tools allow them to do? It allows them to make a station in 2 weeks.
It also allows them to...
How long do you think...
Build out an environment, a small environment that probably about the size of a level in a lot of games in 5 or 10 minutes.
Yep.
Also, most important point in the entire demo, we saw the reappearance of Thorshu Gray.
Yes.
The most important character in Star Citizen.
Yep. Crabs forever.
Mark Hamill was in that engine demo.
Yes.
But Thorsher Grey was more
Yep.
important.
Yeah, Thorsher Grey, definitely
Yeah.
more important.
And another thing that's really important to note is the planet that they jump to.
Yeah, they
at the
jumped to
end.
another planet.
Yeah, there's some amazing flying that happens here, and then there's a planet jump in Quantum. By the way, I want to mention they can jump directly into the game from Spacebox. They do not have to leave the editor software.
Saves them so much time.
Saves
And
them
then
a
they
huge
can
amount of
jump.
time.
They're in Spacebox and they
So-
just jump to another planet.
And then they quantum jump to another planet in the same system that is a completely different type of planet. It's a sulfur world.
Yep.
We've dubbed it the Pits of Dolvak.
The Sulfur Pits of Dolvak. CIG?
The Pits of Dolvak.
Please
Pits of
name it
Dolvak.
the Pits of Dolvak.
If you do that,
We will be indebted to you forever.
God.
Anyway,
Even if it doesn't even have to be that planet. If there are sulfur pits
Called the Pits of
on any planet,
okay, back on
Yeah.
track.
the Pits
Okay.
of Dolvak.
One other thing I wanted to mention here is that, it's been a big question mark how much work they've been able to complete.
Yep.
The sulfur planet looked done to me.
Yep.
There was a lot of work put into it.
Yep.
It had like steaming sulfur pits. It looked
Yeah.
there were all these different colors on the surface. The sky was green and orange. It looked very nasty, honestly, and like completely different from the other world that we had just visited. And then after that, we zoomed out to a familiar ship known as the Idris.
Really?
They got to tease us again.
They're really bad with that. Now,
And then the entire crowd lost their minds when they
stop.
instead of showing us all of the freaking Idris, they went and faded to black.
Yep.
And we all wanted to throw things at Sean Tracy.
Just a little.
And I would like my friend Eris, who's actually supposed to be the one talking right now, to finish us off.
Okay, well,
We've reached the end of the presentation. That's it.
We've reached the end of the presentation, and I hope that we've done a little bit in the 3 hours that we've been talking to explain
12
that,
hours.
look, there wasn't as much content in this presentation as we would have hoped for. All we really got content-wise was, what we've talked about, the
demo.
Well, not just the demo, but we also got the Orgs 2.0. Spectrum. I've got to get that name in my head. We got Spectrum. We got the demo. Not as much content as we would have hoped for. Honestly, all of us at INN, everyone that we've talked to, everyone really, really hoped.
Developers and community alike.
Everyone really hoped for Squadron 42. It didn't happen. The thing that we have to understand here is that we still got more information about the game than we've ever had before. We got information about
The entire next year of development, period.
we got information about the ships that are coming. We got information about where Squadron 42
Professions.
is now, professions. We got information about what's holding Squadron 42 back. We got information about everything. And this is something, and I'm going to be quoting right now from a Reddit thread put up by the Thomas.
I would like to note that this is at the top of the subreddit.
Maybe
Has 1,066 upvotes.
Yeah.
They to us.
This is something that early on after CitizenCon, the Reddit was fairly hostile, negative,
Negative was a good way to
unfun.
put it.
Um,
I'll settle on negative.
negative.
Everybody's got an opinion and they felt their need to express it.
Yeah.
Either way.
Yeah, which
You made Tyler cry.
hey, what we're doing here is expressing our opinions, but we all backed Star Citizen.
I'm sorry,
for a reason.
Tyler.
We gave Chris the opportunity and the money, the $127.5 whatever million dollars, to do what he would, what he wants, and the reason behind that is that Chris needs to be unfettered to make the game that he can. And the point comes down to what the Thomas wrote here, which is don't be the publisher. Publishers complain about missed demos. Publishers complain about pushing back delivery dates. Publishers force developers to take the easy route or the cheap route or to compromise their vision in order to meet a release date. Publishers are the problem. I gave CIG money specifically to keep publishers out of the process. I gave them money to put feature-rich, revolutionary gameplay before target dates and zero-day patches. As a community, we have effectively paid to keep publishers away. Don't become the publisher. And that's the end of the Thomas's spiel, and I love it. I think it's perfectly worded. I want to say that don't stop criticizing. Don't stop having opinions, because nothing helps CIG more than our input.
Constructive feedback.
Do it for the love of the game.
Yes.
Don't do it like I have plenty of opinion. Like everybody knows.
You have opinions?
Oh yeah.
Never.
Oh yes. Like I express my distaste for a particular decision or a particular thing, but I offer solutions, at least the ones that I think possible. But at the same time, I'm at least doing it in such a way where I'm expressing I'm telling you this because I want it done the right way, and I know that's what you guys want too. And it's complaining about things that were left out, complaining about things that are gonna we know we're gonna see. We know we're gonna see it soon. It's not helpful to anyone.
It's not constructive.
It's not constructive. But having criticizing something that you love and doing it because you love it, that's what they want, and that's what helps them.
Yeah.
Things. If you remember years ago, we got multiplayer free flight because we yelled at them loud enough, but that's good. Whoa, and a burp there. That's what they want. That's what we all want.
Yeah.
I couldn't say it better than these guys. So I'm just going to say that was a great post, the Thomas, and thank you very much. It is now 1:42 a.m. Pacific time, and we're going to sleep. I would like to thank you all for watching this extremely long video.
I would like to take 1 second to say thank you so much to absolutely everyone that we were able to meet at this event.
Yeah.
Everybody was awesome.
Everybody was amazing.
Yeah.
The amount of people who came up to us and said thank you for what you guys do was way more than I ever even expected. I signed autographs.
I signed all of us signed autographs.
Which is
It was
weird.
Unreal.
Weird.
Very unreal.
Don't stop it. But no, seriously, from the bottom of all of our hearts,
Thank you very much, everybody.
We would never be where we are without you guys.
Yeah.
And
Just like CIG wouldn't be where they are without us, we wouldn't be there without
the community is the
guys.
heart of everything that this game is about.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What we do, what CIG does, what all of you guys do, it's all down to community.
Mhm.
And there's an interview with Mr. Tyler Witkin that he's gonna express a lot of the same things I am, but it's the beating heart of this game. It's what keeps it going.
You guys are the beating heart of this game.
Yeah.
Well,
Keep it up.
I mean, there's no other way to put it. This is a unique thing. There's no other project of any kind that has received this kind of support.
Yep.
Period. You don't have to couch that in any kind of but this.
Nope.
No, there's nothing. There isn't anything else. This is it. This is the most successful crowdfunded anything ever, period.
And also, thank you so much to all the developers who were so unbelievably gracious.
The developers
Yeah.
have been fantastic.
To all of us here at INN,
Yeah.
having Ben sit down and talk with me about Star Wars at a bar. That's weird, but amazing.
Yep.
Like having Jeremiah Lee fan out over us in the middle of a street was incredible and humbling and insane.
Yeah.
Like, and so many other people who just took the time to talk with us about Star Citizen.
Basically, what we're trying to say here is thank you to everyone. We love you guys.
We love all of you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. And you know what?
I don't think we're ever going to stop talking at this point.
No,
we're just going to keep going right till the morning.
That's the thing. We're done here. Thank you all so much. We hope that you've maybe seen some or heard some things or had some ideas that you didn't have before. We hope we were informative. We hope we were good. We hope we continue to be good. We hope we continue to be better. And we will see you all in the verse.
See you on the verse, guys.
So on the verse, watch the live streams coming up in November and December from CIG.
Yeah.
It's gonna be real.